The first pup crawled into my tent at exactly midnight. I knew because I'd been staring at my phone, watching the numbers flip over, unable to sleep. Again. 3 months since Derek rejected me in front of the entire pack, and I still couldn't close my eyes without seeing the disgust on his face. Defective. Broken. Not worth the bond. The tent flap rustled. I grabbed the flashlight, finger on the power button, ready to scream if it was Derek coming back to finish what he'd started with his words. But the small dark shape that pushed through wasn't human. Amber eyes glowed in the darkness. A wolf pup, maybe 20 pounds, fur black as creek water at night. It limped straight to my sleeping bag and pressed its cold nose against my shoulder, right where the rejection scar burned beneath my shirt. The raised, twisted skin that marked me as unwanted. The pup whimpered. "Shoo," I whispered, my voice cracking. "Go home." It didn't move. Just kept its nose pressed to the scar, like it was trying to heal something that couldn't be fixed. Then 2 more pushed through the tent flap. Same size. Same midnight fur. Same glowing amber eyes that seemed too bright, too aware for wild pups. They crowded around me, pawing at my arms, my legs, anywhere the scars showed through my thin sleep clothes. The marks of rejection covered most of my upper body now, ugly, raised tissue that proved what everyone already knew. I was cursed. Unworthy. An omega who'd never had a heat, never felt the moon's call, never been anything but a burden to Crescent Valley Pack. "You can't be here," I told them, trying to sound firm. "Please. I'll get in trouble." The smallest one crawled into my lap and buried its face against my stomach. And I did something stupid. I wrapped my arms around it and cried. They were still there when the sun came up. I'd tried everything. Shooing them. Ignoring them. Even walking 2 miles into the woods to leave them behind. They just followed, silent except for the soft patting of their paws. When I gave up and headed to the diner for my morning shift, all 3 trotted behind me like I'd raised them from birth. "What the hell?" Sandy dropped the coffee pot when we walked through the kitchen door. "Mira, are those wolves?" "They followed me." "I don't. I can't get rid of them." The pups arranged themselves around my feet, watching Sandy with eyes too intelligent for their small bodies. The smallest one growled when Sandy stepped closer. "They can't be in here," Sandy said, backing toward the door. "Mira, Marcus is going to." "I know." I grabbed the mop from the supply closet, my hands shaking. "Just let me work. Please. I need the money." She left. I knew she was going straight to the alpha. The pups watched me mop, heads tilting in unison. When I moved to the next table, they moved with me, forming a perfect triangle around my legs. Protective. Possessive. Like I was something worth guarding. It would have been funny if it wasn't so terrifying. By noon, half the pack had gathered outside the diner windows to stare. I saw Derek among them, his new girlfriend Claire tucked under his arm. She was everything I wasn't. Tall, confident, blessed with monthly heats that kept her scent sweet and desirable. Derek said something that made her laugh, then pointed at me through the glass. The pups saw him. All 3 turned to face the window, lips pulling back from small, sharp teeth. Derek's smile vanished. "Mira." Alpha Marcus's voice came from the doorway. Deep. Controlled. Dangerous. Outside. Now. I set down the mop and walked out, the pups trailing behind me. The crowd parted, giving us space like we carried disease. Maybe we did. Maybe I'd finally become what everyone always said, cursed, wrong, attracting dark things. Marcus stood with his arms crossed, his mate Elena beside him. Both of them watched the pups with expressions I couldn't read. "Explain," Marcus said. "I can't. They showed up last night. I've tried to make them leave, but they won't." "She's attracting wrong energy," Derek interrupted, stepping forward. Claire squeezed his hand, looking at me with false sympathy. Everyone knows defective wolves draw in broken things. These pups are probably diseased. She needs to leave pack lands before. The largest pup lunged. It didn't reach Derek. I grabbed it mid-leap, holding 30 pounds of snarling fury against my chest. The pup struggled, still trying to get to Derek, making sounds I'd never heard from a wolf that young. Angry. Protective. Almost human. 48 hours, Marcus said quietly. Get rid of them, or you're banished from Crescent Valley. Permanently. But where am I supposed to? That's not my problem. He turned away, then paused. For what it's worth, Mira, I'm sorry. But I have to protect the pack. And right now, you're a threat. They left. All of them. Even Sandy wouldn't meet my eyes. I sat on the diner steps, holding the still struggling pup, and felt the other two press against my sides. 48 hours. 2 days to figure out what to do with 3 wild pups that refused to leave me. 2 days before I lost the only home I'd ever known. Why? I whispered to them. Why me? The smallest one licked my rejection scar. That night, I gave up trying to make them leave and let them into the tent. They curled around me, warm and solid, their breathing slowly evening out as they fell asleep. I lay awake, my mind spinning through impossible options. I had $40 in my bank account. No car. No friends who'd risk Marcus's anger by helping me. Maybe banishment would be better. Maybe I could find a new pack, somewhere far away, where no one knew I was defective. Where I could be. The smallest pup rolled over in its sleep, exposing the soft fur behind its left ear. I stared. A crescent-shaped mark, pale against the dark fur. Perfectly symmetrical. Elegant. No. It couldn't be. I checked the other two, my hands shaking now. Behind their left ears, hidden in the fur, identical marks. Perfect crescents, each one exactly the same. The royal bloodline symbol. The mark that had died out 20 years ago when the last Alpha King and his entire family were slaughtered by a rival pack. The mark that meant pure-blooded royalty, direct descent from the first wolf, power that could shake the foundations of every pack in North America. These pups weren't wild. They were royal. And they'd chosen me, broken, defective, worthless me, to protect them. I stared at the sleeping pups, my heart hammering against my ribs. Outside, something moved in the darkness. Heavy footsteps. Multiple sets. Voices I didn't recognize, speaking in low, urgent tones. The pups' ears twitched. Even in sleep, they heard what I heard. Someone was coming. And I had a feeling they weren't looking for me. Chapter 2. The footsteps stopped outside my tent. I held my breath, one hand on the smallest pup's back, feeling its heartbeat quicken beneath my palm. The other two were awake now, ears forward, bodies tense. Not growling. Not yet. But ready. False alarm, a male voice said. Unfamiliar. Deep. Just a raccoon. We should check anyway, another voice argued. The readings were strongest in this sector. It's a refugee camp, Marcus. Half the pack's rejects live here. You really want to wake them up and cause a scene? A pause. Then Alpha Marcus's voice, tight with something that sounded like fear. No. We continue the search at dawn. The king wants answers, and I intend to provide them. The king. My blood turned to ice. An Alpha King was here. In Crescent Valley. And they were searching for something. I looked down at the 3 pups with their royal bloodline marks, and understanding crashed over me like cold water. They were searching for these pups. The footsteps retreated. I waited until I couldn't hear them anymore, then waited another hour just to be safe. The pups finally relaxed, curling back into sleep, trusting me to keep watch. I didn't sleep at all. Morning came too fast. I'd planned to hide the pups in the tent, maybe cover their ears with bandanas to hide the marks, but they had other ideas. The moment I tried to slip out alone, all three pushed through the flap and fell into formation around my legs. "No," I whispered. "Please. You have to stay hidden. If someone sees those marks." The largest one looked up at me with those two intelligent amber eyes and made a sound that was almost human. Almost like it was saying no. "Fine." I grabbed my jacket, checking that it had enough pockets for the protein bars I'd stolen from the diner last week. "But stay close. And if I tell you to run, you run." They trotted beside me toward the main pack grounds, where Marcus had called an emergency gathering. The king wanted to address Crescent Valley Pack directly, the message had said. Attendance mandatory. We joined the crowd gathering in the central square, and I felt the stares immediately. Heard the whispers. The defective one brought her strays. Still cursed, still attracting wrong things. Marcus should have banished her months ago. I kept my head down, moving toward the back of the crowd where I could disappear. The pups pressed closer, forming a protective circle. The smallest one kept glancing up at me, like it was checking to make sure I was okay. "Look at her," Claire's voice carried over the crowd. She stood with Derek near the front, both of them dressed in their best clothes. Dragging those diseased animals to a royal gathering. She has no shame. Derek turned, saw me, and his face twisted with disgust. He started pushing through the crowd toward us. The pups' hackles rose. "Derek, don't," I started, but he was already too close, grabbing my arm hard enough to bruise. "You don't belong here," he hissed. "The king is coming, and you show up looking like trash with these rabid." The largest pup hit him center mass. 20 pounds of fury knocked Derek flat on his back. The other two joined in immediately, snarling and snapping at his face, his throat, anywhere they could reach. Not playing. Not warning. Attacking. "Get them off." Derek screamed, trying to cover his face. "Someone get these things off me." Pack members rushed forward, but the pups moved like shadows. Ducking, weaving, always staying between Derek and me. The smallest one planted itself directly in front of my legs, teeth bared at anyone who got too close. Enough. The word cut through the chaos like a blade through silk. Every wolf in the square froze, including the pups. They didn't stop growling, but they stopped moving. A man stood at the edge of the square. Tall. Maybe 6'3". Dressed in black that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Silver hair, despite looking no older than his early 30s, pulled back from a face that could have been carved from granite. Sharp cheekbones. Harder eyes, so pale they were almost colorless. And power. It rolled off him in waves, pressing down on every wolf present until we all wanted to bow, to submit, to offer our throats. The Alpha King. He walked forward, and the crowd parted like he was Moses and they were the Red Sea. His eyes swept over the scene. Derek bleeding on the ground, Claire frozen in horror, the three pups still growling at anyone who moved. Then his gaze landed on the pups, and everything about him went absolutely still. "Impossible," he breathed. The largest pup suddenly broke from its defensive position and raced toward him. For a terrible moment, I thought it would attack. Thought I was about to watch an alpha king kill the pup I'd been trying to protect. But the pup stopped 3 feet away, sat down, and tilted its head. Studying him. The king crouched slowly, carefully, like he was approaching something infinitely precious and infinitely fragile. "How?" His voice cracked on the word. "How are you here?" The pup's nose twitched. Scenting him. Deciding something. Then it turned and raced back to me, the other two following immediately. They pressed against my legs, and the smallest one let out a soft whine that sounded almost apologetic. The king's eyes tracked their movement, landing on me for the first time. I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. This was it, the moment he'd see what I was, what everyone already knew. Defective. Cursed. Unworthy of even existing in the same space as royalty. I dropped to my knees, bowing my head, baring my neck. Your Majesty, I. Stand up. It wasn't a request. I stood on shaking legs, keeping my eyes down. The pups whined, pressing closer. The king walked toward us, and I heard gasps from the crowd. Alpha kings didn't approach omegas. Didn't acknowledge them at all, really, except to give orders. But he kept coming until he was close enough that I could smell him, winter pine and mountain snow and something older, something that made my wolf whimper in recognition despite never having shifted. Look at me, he said quietly. I raised my eyes. Met that colorless gaze. Saw something in it that looked like barely controlled agony. How long have they been with you? His voice was steady, but his hands weren't. They'd curled into fists at his sides. Since last night, Your Majesty. They came to my tent. I tried to make them leave, but they chose you. He said it like it was a fact he was trying to understand. His eyes dropped to where my rejection scars showed at my collar, and something flickered across his face too fast to read. And you've been caring for them. I didn't know what else to do. No one else would. I stopped. Swallowed. I'm sorry. I should have reported them immediately. I didn't mean to. Show me your arms. What? Your arms. Show me. Confused, terrified, I pulled up my sleeves. The rejection scars covered my forearms in twisted patterns, each one a mark of Derek's disgust. I'd stopped looking at them weeks ago. The king stared at them for a long moment, then did something that made the entire crowd gasp. He knelt. An alpha king. Kneeling. In front of me. These pups, he said, his voice low enough that only I could hear, carry the scent of my brother's bloodline. My brother who died 20 years ago along with his pregnant mate. These pups shouldn't exist. Can't exist. And yet here they are, alive and healthy and protected by an omega who sings them royal lullabies. My heart stopped. I didn't know. You sang to them last night. I heard you from the woods. His eyes searched mine, looking for something I didn't understand. Where did you learn that song? I don't know. It came to me. When they were scared, I wanted to comfort them, and the words were just there. I was shaking now, my voice breaking. Please, Your Majesty, I didn't steal them. I swear. They came to me. I tried to make them leave, but they wouldn't. Peace. The word was gentle. Impossibly gentle coming from a man known as the Winter King. I know you didn't steal them. If you had, they wouldn't have chosen you. He stood, and the crowd collectively exhaled. Miracle, he said, loud enough for everyone to hear. You will accompany me to Royal Pack territory for questioning regarding these pups. You will bring nothing but what you can carry. We leave within the hour. Terror shot through me. Alpha kings don't ask. They take. Your Majesty, please, I started, but Marcus stepped forward. Forgive me, sire, Marcus said carefully. But this Omega is pack property. If she's committed a crime, she should be tried here, under Crescent Valley law. The temperature in the square seemed to drop 10 degrees. Did you just tell me, the king said softly, that I cannot take a member of your pack for questioning? Marcus paled. No, sire. Of course not. I only meant. She comes with me. Now. Unless you'd like to challenge that order? No, Your Majesty. Of course not. Derek struggled to his feet, blood streaming from the scratches on his face. She's going to be executed, he announced to the crowd, his voice carrying. She stole royal pups. That's a death sentence. Finally, the curse will be removed from our pack. Claire nodded beside him, and I saw others in the crowd agreeing. They wanted this. Wanted me gone, dead, removed from their perfect pack. The king's expression didn't change, but something about his stillness made Derek step back. "Marcus," the king said. "Control your beta, or I'll do it for you." "Derek, shut up," Marcus hissed. "Now." But the damage was done. I could see it in the faces around me. They all believed it. Believed I'd stolen the pups, that I'd be executed, that this was somehow justice for being born defective. "I'll go," I said quietly. "Just, please don't hurt the pups. Whatever I did wrong, it's not their fault." The king looked at me with an expression I couldn't read. "Pack your belongings. You have 30 minutes. He turned away, and the crowd parted again. But before he'd gone 3 steps, the largest pup planted itself in his path. The king stopped. Looked down. The pup growled. I grabbed for it, terrified, but the other 2 blocked me with their bodies. They were growling too now, all 3 of them creating a line between me and the king. Protecting me. From him. "Stand down," the king said quietly. "I won't hurt her." The pups didn't move. He crouched again, and I saw something crack in his careful control. "I would never hurt your protector," he said, and his voice was raw now, stripped of its authority. "Please. Trust me." The largest pup studied him for a long moment. Then it looked back at me, as if asking permission. "It's okay," I whispered, even though nothing about this was okay. "I trust him." I wasn't sure why I said it. Wasn't sure if it was even true. But the pups relaxed at my words, and the king's shoulders dropped with something that looked like relief. 30 minutes, he repeated, standing. "Then we leave." He walked away, 3 guards materializing from the crowd to follow him. The pups returned to me, pressing against my legs, and I realized my hands were shaking. "You're dead," Claire said cheerfully. "You know that, right? The moment you reach Royal Pack territory, they'll execute you. Alpha kings don't show mercy to thieves." "She didn't steal them," a small voice said. We all turned. Jenny, the Alpha's 12-year-old daughter, stood at the edge of the crowd. She'd always been kind to me, sneaking me leftovers from pack dinners when no one was looking. "What?" Marcus stared at his daughter. "She didn't steal them," Jenny repeated, louder now. "I saw them last night. They came to her tent on their own. She tried to make them leave, but they wouldn't. They chose her." "Jenny, enough," Elena said sharply. But the damage was done again, this time in my favor. I saw doubt creep into some faces. Saw others whispering, reconsidering. The king's voice carried from across the square, 29 minutes, Miss Cole." I ran. My tent held almost nothing worth taking. Clothes that were more holes than fabric. The phone that barely worked. 3 protein bars. A photograph of my parents, both dead from a rogue attack when I was 8. That was it. That was my whole life, fitting into a backpack that wasn't even mine. I'd found it in a dumpster. The pups watched from the doorway as I packed, their amber eyes tracking my every movement. "I don't know what's going to happen," I told them, shoving the last shirt into the bag. "I don't know if he'll let you stay with me. But I promise I'll do everything I can to protect you." The smallest one made a sound that was almost like understanding. A knock at the tent pole. I turned, expecting the king or one of his guards. Sandy stood there instead, holding a paper bag. "I brought sandwiches," she said quietly. "For the trip. And some water bottles." I stared at her. "You didn't have to." "I know." She set the bag down, not meeting my eyes. "I'm sorry. For all of it. For not standing up for you. For letting Derek treat you like that. For everything. Sandy. You don't have to forgive me. I know I don't deserve it. But I needed to say it." She finally looked up, and I saw tears in her eyes. "You're a good person, Mira. You didn't deserve any of this. And those pups, they're lucky to have you. She left before I could respond, disappearing into the maze of tents and trailers that made up the refugee section of Packlands. I picked up the bag and found not just sandwiches, but also $50 in cash tucked inside a note that read, "For emergencies. Good luck." The smallest pup bumped against my leg, and I realized I was crying. "Come on," I whispered, shouldering the backpack. "Let's go face whatever comes next." The king waited at the edge of Packlands with 3 black SUVs and a dozen guards. He'd changed into traveling clothes, still black, still intimidating, but somehow more human. Less like a force of nature and more like a man. A man who was staring at the pups like they were ghosts made flesh. "Ready?" he asked as I approached. "No," I said honestly. Something that might have been amusement flickered in his eyes. "Good. Honesty is rare. You'll ride in the middle vehicle with me and the pups." "Your Majesty, I don't think. They won't let you ride separately." He nodded toward the pups, who had already climbed into the indicated vehicle and were waiting impatiently. "Believe me. I tried." He wasn't wrong. When I moved toward a different SUV, all 3 pups started howling, a sound so mournful that half the guards winced. "Fine," I muttered, climbing into the middle vehicle. The king slid in beside me, leaving a careful 3 feet of space between us. The pups immediately piled into my lap, making themselves comfortable. "We have a 6-hour drive," the king said as the convoy started moving. "You should rest." "I can't." My voice came out smaller than I intended. "I'm too scared." "Of me?" "Of everything." He was quiet for a long moment, watching the pups settle in my lap. The smallest one was already asleep, its paw resting on my rejection scars like it was trying to cover them. "I'm not going to execute you," he said finally. "I need you to understand that." "Then why am I here?" "Because these pups shouldn't exist. My brother Dominic died 20 years ago in an attack on the Royal Pack territory. His mate Sarah was 8 months pregnant with triplets. The healers confirmed the pups died with her." His voice was steady, but his hands were clenched in his lap. "These 3 have Dominic's scent. His bloodline markers. His eyes. Everything about them says they're his children. But that's impossible." "Unless it's not," I said quietly. "Unless it's not," he agreed. "Which means someone saved them. Kept them hidden for 2 decades. And somehow, they ended up with you, an Omega who knows royal lullabies and sings to them like she's been doing it their whole lives. I don't understand any of this." "Neither do I. That's why you're here." He shifted, turning to face me fully. "Those pups chose you as their protector. Not me. Not any of my royal guards. Not even Marcus, who's a strong alpha. They chose you, and they'll fight me if I try to take them. Do you know what that means?" I shook my head. "It means you're important. Essential, somehow. And until I understand why, you stay under my protection." His pale eyes held mine. "No matter what anyone else says." "Understood. Why would you protect me? You don't know me. I'm just." "You're not just anything." The fierceness in his voice startled me. "You're the person my brother's children chose. That makes you invaluable. And I don't abandon what's valuable." The pup in my lap shifted, nuzzling deeper into my stomach. The king watched the movement with that expression again, somewhere between agony and hope. "What do I call you?" I asked, because I couldn't handle the intensity of his stare. "Your Majesty feels too formal if we're going to be." "Demon," he said. "When we're alone, you can call me Demon." "That feels too informal." "Good. I could use some informality." He leaned back, closing his eyes. 6 hours. Try to rest, Mira. You'll need your strength for what comes next. What comes next? The truth. About who these pups are, why they found you, and what it all means. He opened one eye, looking at me. And I have a feeling you're not going to like the answers. I held the sleeping pups closer, feeling the steady beat of their hearts against my palms. Outside, Crescent Valley disappeared in the distance, taking with it everything I'd ever known. The smallest pup's ear twitched in its sleep, and I caught a glimpse of the crescent mark hidden in its fur. Royal blood. Impossible survival. A winter king who looked at them like they were his salvation. And me, caught in the middle of it all, marked as cursed and broken and unworthy. I closed my eyes and tried to rest. But all I could think was, what comes next? Chapter 3. The royal palace wasn't what I expected. I'd imagined cold stone and harsh edges, a place that matched the Winter King's reputation. Instead, the SUV pulled up to something that looked like it had been carved from moonlight, white marble that seemed to glow in the fading afternoon sun, surrounded by gardens that were still green despite it being late October. Beautiful. Impossible. Terrifying. This way, Demon said, and I realized the convoy had stopped. Guards surrounded us, but they kept their distance from the pups. Smart. The largest one, I'd started thinking of him as the protector, had already growled at 2 guards who got too close. Inside was even more overwhelming. Vaulted ceilings that seemed to stretch into forever. Floors so polished I could see my reflection, dirty, scarred, completely out of place. Palace staff stopped and stared as we passed, their expressions ranging from confusion to outright horror. An omega in the royal palace. With the king. And 3 feral pups. I wanted to disappear. You're sweet, Demon said, opening a door that was bigger than my entire tent had been. Sweet was an understatement. The room beyond looked like something from a magazine, plush cream carpets, furniture that was probably worth more than I'd make in a lifetime, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the gardens. A separate bedroom was visible through an open door, and I could see a bathroom that had an actual bathtub. I hadn't had a real bath in 3 months. This is too much, I said. I can just. You're a guest. His tone left no room for argument. You'll be treated as such. Food will be brought up in an hour. If you need anything, there's a phone by the bed. Dial 0 for the front desk. Am I allowed to leave? The question hung in the air between us. His expression didn't change, but something flickered in his pale eyes. Are you a prisoner, you mean? Yes. No. But I need you to stay close to the pups. They're unstable. And until we understand what's happening, I need you where my guards can protect you. He paused at the door. The pups need to be examined by our royal healers. I'd like to do that tonight, if you're willing. What if I'm not willing? Then I'll wait until you are. He said it simply, like it was obvious. But they haven't eaten in over 12 hours, Mira. And they won't let anyone else near them. Guilt twisted in my stomach. He was right. The pups hadn't touched the food the guards had offered during the drive, and the smallest one, I'd been calling her Little Bit in my head, was starting to look too thin. Okay, I said. Tonight. But I stay with them the whole time. I wouldn't have it any other way. He left, and I was alone with the pups in a room that cost more than my life was worth. Well, I said to them, at least we're together. Little Bit whined and pressed against my leg. The protector was already investigating every corner of the suite, sniffing for threats. The middle one, slightly smaller than the protector but bigger than Little Bit, had found the bed and was currently trying to climb onto it. I helped him up, and all 3 pups immediately piled into the center of the massive mattress, looking at me expectantly. You want me to, I started, but Little Bit yipped, and I understood. I climbed onto the bed, and they arranged themselves around me like they had in my tent. Protective. Possessive. Like I was something precious they couldn't afford to lose. I should have been scared. Should have been planning my escape, figuring out how to get back to Crescent Valley before whatever was happening here swallowed me whole. Instead, I fell asleep surrounded by royal pups who'd chosen a broken Omega as their protector. A knock woke me. I jerked upright, disoriented by the unfamiliar room, the too-soft bed. The pups were immediately alert, forming their defensive triangle around me. "Miss Cole?" A female voice came through the door. "I have your dinner. May I come in?" "Yes," I called, climbing off the bed. The pups followed, staying between me and the door. A woman in her 50s entered, carrying a tray that smelled like heaven. Roasted chicken, fresh vegetables, bread that was still warm. My stomach growled so loudly that she smiled. "I'm Sarah, the head housekeeper," she said, setting the tray on a small dining table. "His Majesty said you'd need enough for 4. She'd brought 4 plates. 4 sets of silverware. Like the pups were guests too. "Thank you," I managed. "There's a bath drawn in the bathroom," Sarah added. "Fresh clothes in the closet. His Majesty estimated your size, but if anything doesn't fit, just call down and we'll bring alternatives." She left before I could process that the Alpha King had estimated my clothing size. The pups were already investigating the food, whining hopefully. I portioned out 3 plates of chicken and vegetables, cutting everything into small pieces, and set them on the floor. They ate like they were starving. I watched them, something tight loosening in my chest. They were okay. For now, they were safe and fed in. A knock. Different from before. Harder. More official. "Mira?" Demon's voice. "The healers are ready." The medical wing was on the opposite side of the palace. We walked through corridors that seemed designed to intimidate, portraits of past Alpha Kings staring down with expressions of barely controlled violence, tapestries depicting famous battles, everything radiating power. The pup stayed pressed against my legs, growling softly at anyone who got too close. "They're very protective," a man said as we entered the examination room. Tall, dark-skinned, maybe 40, with kind eyes that crinkled at the corners. "I'm Dr. Chen, the royal healer." "You must be Mira." "Yes, sir. And these are the pups everyone's talking about." He crouched slowly, holding out his hand. "Hello there. I'm not going to hurt you. Just want to make sure you're healthy." The protector sniffed his hand, considered, then sat down. "Permission granted." "Remarkable," Dr. Chen breathed. "They're so well behaved with her." "Demon, did you see?" "I saw." The king stood in the corner, arms crossed, watching everything with that unreadable expression. "Can you examine them?" "If Miss Cole assists, yes." For the next hour, I helped Dr. Chen check the pups while Demon watched from the shadows. Weight, temperature, heart rate, reflexes. The pups tolerated it all because I was there, holding them, murmuring reassurance. "They're underweight," Dr. Chen said finally, stripping off his gloves. "But otherwise healthy. No signs of disease or parasites. Their teeth suggest they're about 4 years old in wolf age, which would translate to 20 years in human," Demon finished. His voice was rough. "The right age. We'll need blood samples for the DNA test." "No." I didn't realize I'd spoken until everyone looked at me. "I mean, that's going to hurt them. Scare them. Can't you wait?" "Mira," Demon said carefully, "we need to know for certain." "Know what?" "That they're royal." "You already know. You said they smell like your brother. What difference does a blood test make?" "All the difference in the world." He pushed off the wall, crossing to where I stood with the pups. "If these are Dominic's children, they're heirs to the throne. They have rights. Protection. A place in this world. Without proof, they're just 3 feral pups who could be taken by anyone who wanted them." I hadn't thought of that. Hadn't considered that the DNA test wasn't about satisfying curiosity. It was about protecting them. "Okay," I said quietly. "But I hold them. And you do it fast." Dr. Chen nodded. One at a time. This will just pinch. It took 20 minutes and left all 3 pups whimpering against me, but we got the samples. Dr. Chen promised results by morning and disappeared into his lab with a guard escort. You did well, Demon said as we walked back toward my suite. They trust you completely. They shouldn't. I don't know what I'm doing. Neither do they. But they chose you anyway. He paused at my door. There's someone I need you to meet. My beta, Cade. He's been investigating what happened 20 years ago, trying to understand how these pups survived. Now? Tomorrow. You should rest. It's been a long day. He turned to leave, and I don't know what possessed me, but I reached out and touched his arm. He froze. Thank you, I said. For treating them like they matter. His eyes met mine, and I saw something raw in them. Something that looked like barely healed wounds. They're family, he said simply. Family always matters. I dreamed of fire. Flames consuming everything, a building, people screaming, children crying. I ran toward the sound, but the heat drove me back. Someone grabbed my arm, pulling me away, shouting that it was too late, that they were gone, that I couldn't save them. I woke up gasping, covered in sweat, my rejection scars burning like Derek had just marked me all over again. The pups were awake too, whining and pawing at me. Trying to comfort me. Trying to make the pain stop. I'm okay, I lied, but the scars kept burning, worse than they ever had before. Like something was wrong with them, trying to break through. A knock at the door. I stumbled to answer it, still half caught in the nightmare. Demon stood in the hallway, barefoot and wearing sleep pants and nothing else. I tried not to stare at the scars that covered his chest, claw marks, bite marks, burns. The Winter King's armor was gone, and what remained was just a man who looked like he'd survived his own fires. I heard you scream, he said. I didn't. You did. The whole wing heard you. His eyes dropped to where I was clutching my arm, and his expression shifted. Your scars. They're flaring. It happens sometimes. When I'm stressed or... He was inside my suite before I could finish, closing the door behind him. Let me see. Your Majesty. Demon. And that's not a request. His voice had gone rough, edged with something that made my silent, dormant wolf that had never spoken once in my life, suddenly perk up and pay attention. I pulled up my sleeves with shaking hands. The rejection scars were glowing, actually glowing, with a sickly greenish light I'd never seen before. Fuck, Demon breathed. He grabbed my arm, not roughly but firmly, and the moment his skin touched mine, the burning stopped. Just stopped. We both froze. What? I started. I don't know. But he didn't let go. His thumb traced the edge of one scar, and I felt something shift inside me. Something that had been locked away for so long I'd forgotten it existed. My wolf. Stirring. Waking. The pups were going crazy now, jumping and yipping and making sounds I'd never heard from them. Almost like they were happy. This isn't possible, Demon said, but he was still touching my scars, and they were starting to fade. Not disappear. Just lose that angry, infected look they'd had for 3 months. Rejection scars don't heal. Ever. That's the whole point, they're permanent marks of a broken bond. Maybe mine are different. No. They're not. His pale eyes met mine, and I saw something in them that looked like recognition. Like fear. Like hope. Mira, when did you present as an Omega? What? When did you have your first heat? How old were you? I didn't. That's why Derek rejected me. I never. I stopped, because something was happening inside my body. A warmth spreading through my core, sweet and aching and completely foreign. Demon's nostrils flared. His grip on my arm tightened. Oh, he said roughly. Oh, fuck. What? What's happening? You're going into heat. He dropped my arm like it burned him, backing toward the door. Right now. Your first heat. Because. He didn't finish. Couldn't finish. Because his wolf was rising behind his eyes, turning them from pale blue to burning gold, and I could feel it in the air between us, recognition. No, I whispered. That's not, it can't be. Derek didn't reject you because you were broken, Demon said, his voice barely human anymore. He rejected you because you were never his. Your wolf was waiting for your true mate before allowing you to present. That's not possible. It's rare. But it happens. He was at the door now, hand on the knob, every muscle in his body tense like he was fighting not to turn around. Mira, I need to leave. Now. Before my wolf decides to claim what he thinks is his. What he thinks, understanding crashed over me like ice water. No. No, you can't be. Your true mate. He said it flatly. Final. Like a death sentence. And mine. Which makes this situation infinitely more complicated. He left. The door closed. I stood there, feeling heat curl through my body for the first time in my life, rejection scars that were suddenly fading, and 3 royal pups who were yipping like this was the best news they'd ever heard. This isn't happening, I told them. This can't be happening. But my wolf that had been silent my entire life, spoke for the first time. Mate. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. The heat symptoms came and went in waves. Not full force, thank God, but enough to make me uncomfortable. Enough to make me understand what I'd been missing all these years. The pups stayed close, their presence somehow soothing. Little Bit kept nuzzling my rejection scars, like she was trying to heal them with pure determination. Morning came with another knock. Miss Cole? Sarah's voice. His Majesty requests your presence in his office. And Dr. Chen has the DNA results. I dressed in the clothes that had appeared in the closet overnight, soft jeans that actually fit, a blue sweater that was probably cashmere, boots that didn't have holes in them. Looking at myself in the mirror was surreal. I almost looked like I belonged here. Almost. The pups followed me through the corridors to Demon's office. He stood by the window when we entered, his back to us, every line of his body tense. The results, he said without turning. Tell her, Cade. A man I hadn't noticed stood by the desk, massive, easily 6'5", with shoulders that suggested he could break me in half without trying. His eyes were kind, though, when they met mine. I'm Cade, the King's Beta, he said. And I have good news. The DNA is conclusive. These pups are Prince Dominic's children. Lila, Finn, and Cole Silvercrest. The rightful heirs to the throne. I looked down at the pups, Lila, Finn, and Cole. They looked back at me with those amber eyes, and I saw something in them that looked like relief. Like they'd been waiting 20 years to be found. How? I asked. How did they survive? We don't know yet, Kate admitted. But we're working on it. Someone saved them. Kept them hidden. And somehow, they ended up with you. There's more, Demon said, finally turning. He looked terrible, like he hadn't slept either, dark circles under his eyes, tension radiating from every pore. The healers examined them more thoroughly this morning, while you were sleeping. They're stuck in wolf form due to severe trauma. And they've bonded to you as their surrogate pack. What does that mean? It means they need you, Cade said gently. Their wolves recognize you as safety. As home. Without you, they'll revert to feral behavior. They might never shift back to human form. So I can't leave. No, Demon said roughly. You can't leave. Our eyes met across the office, and I felt it again, that pull, that recognition, that terrible, impossible certainty. Mate. This is insane, I said. All of it. Yesterday I was cleaning toilets in Crescent Valley. Now I'm supposedly the true mate of an alpha king and the only person who can help 3 royal heirs recover from trauma. This doesn't happen to people like me. People like you? Demon's voice had an edge now. Broken people. Cursed people. Defective omegas who. Stop. He crossed the room in 3 strides, standing close enough that I could feel the heat radiating off him. You're not broken. You were never broken. Your wolf knew what she was doing, protecting you until the right moment. And you think this is the right moment? You think I'm supposed to believe we're mates when you're a king and I'm essential, he interrupted. To those pups. To understanding what happened 20 years ago. And yes, to me. Whether either of us likes it or not. I don't, I said honestly. I don't like any of this. Something that might have been respect flickered in his eyes. Good. Honesty again. We're going to need a lot of that in the coming days. Little bit, Lila, whined and pressed against my leg. I looked down at her, at the crescent mark behind her ear, and felt something in my chest crack open. These pups needed me. And I'd failed so many things in my life, but I wouldn't fail them. What do we do now? I asked. Now, Demon said, we figure out how to help them shift back. And we find whoever saved them 20 years ago. His jaw clenched. Because someone went to extraordinary lengths to keep them alive. And I need to know why. There's one more thing, Cade said carefully. The healers found something during their examination. All 3 pups have been fed a specific herb blend. Wolfsbane and silver root, mixed with honey to mask the taste. It prevents forced shifting. Someone's been medicating them for years, keeping them trapped in wolf form. Why would someone do that? I asked. Demon and Cade exchanged a look. To keep them hidden, Demon said finally. If they never shifted back to human form, no one would recognize them as royal. They'd just be 3 wild pups. Forgettable. Safe. Until they found you, Cade added. Until they chose someone who could protect them. I looked at the pups, at Lila and Finn and Cole, and saw them watching me with those 2 intelligent eyes. Someone kept them alive for 20 years, I said slowly. Fed them. Medicated them. Protected them. And then let them go. Right into Crescent Valley territory. Right to me. Yes, Demon said. That's not coincidence. No, he agreed. It's not. Then whoever did this wanted them to find me. Wanted me to bring them here. To you. The pieces were falling into place, forming a picture I didn't like. Why? That, Demon said, his voice dropping to something dangerous, is exactly what I intend to find out. His wolf rose behind his eyes again, turning them gold, and I felt my own wolf respond. Recognition. Need. The beginning of a bond neither of us had asked for. This is going to be complicated, I said. Yes, Demon agreed. It is. Finn, the middle pup, suddenly yipped and pawed at my leg. Then he did something extraordinary. He closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and started to shimmer. He's shifting, Cade breathed. Holy shit, he's actually shifting. But it was too soon. I could see it in the way Finn's body convulsed, the way he whimpered in pain. The shift was trying to happen, but something was fighting it, keeping him trapped. Stop, I dropped to my knees, pulling him against me. Don't. It's okay. You don't have to. I started humming. That same lullaby from before, the one that had come from nowhere. And as I hummed, Finn's body stopped convulsing. The shift reversed, leaving him panting and exhausted but still in wolf form. Still safe. How did you know that song? Demon's voice was raw. I don't know. It's in my head. It's always been in my head. That's the royal lullaby, he said. The one our mother sang to us when we were children. The one Dominic sang to his own pups before he stopped. Swallowed hard. Before they died. Except they didn't die, I said softly. No. They didn't. He knelt beside us, reaching out slowly toward Finn. This time, Finn didn't growl. He leaned into Demon's hand, accepting the touch. Accepting his uncle. Someone saved them. Someone who knew the royal lullaby. Someone who knew how to keep them hidden for 20 years. And that someone just changed everything. Our eyes met over Finn's exhausted body, and I saw the truth in Demon's gaze. This wasn't over. It was barely beginning. And I was right in the center of it all, marked as cursed and broken and defective, chosen by 3 royal pups and bound to a winter king who looked at me like I was the answer to questions he'd been asking for 20 years. What happens now? I asked. Now, Demon said, his hands still on Finn's head, his eyes still locked with mine, we figure out how to break the curse keeping them trapped. We find who did this and why. And we deal with what's happening between us. The mate bond. The mate bond, he agreed. Which complicates absolutely everything. Lila yipped in agreement, and despite everything, despite the fear and confusion and impossible situation, I almost smiled. Complicated, I said. That's one word for it. Do you have a better one? I looked at him, at the Winter King who was supposed to be ruthless and cold and untouchable. I saw the grief in his eyes, the hope, the carefully controlled longing. I felt my own wolf rising to meet his, felt the heat symptoms flaring again, felt the rejection scars that were fading because they were never meant to be permanent. No, I said honestly. I really don't. Chapter 4. The attack came on the 3rd night. I'd fallen into an uneasy routine by then, mornings with Dr. Chen as he tried different approaches to help the pups shift, afternoons teaching Lila, Finn, and Cole simple games with paper and crayons. Finn loved drawing, it turned out, even with a pencil held awkwardly in his mouth, evenings avoiding Demon as much as possible while my traitorous body insisted he was nearby, close enough to touch. Mate. I was getting good at ignoring my wolf. Until 3 a.m., when all 3 pups bolted upright in bed, snarling at the door. What? I started, but Lila was already at the door, hackles raised, lips pulled back to show teeth that seemed longer than they'd been before. Sharper. Finn and Cole flanked her, forming a barrier between me and whatever they sensed outside. I grabbed my phone with shaking hands, pulled up the emergency line Sarah had shown me, and pressed call. Security, a male voice answered immediately. Something's wrong, I whispered. The pups are. The window exploded inward. Glass rained down as a figure dove through, rolling and coming up in a crouch. Female, maybe 30, with scars that suggested a hard life and eyes that promised a hard death. She had a knife in each hand, silver blades that made my wolf recoil in instinctive fear. The pups attacked as one. 3 small bodies hit her before she could stand fully, teeth and claws finding purchase. She screamed, slashing wildly, and I saw silver blood spray across my cream carpet. Pup blood. Something inside me snapped. I didn't remember grabbing the lamp. Didn't remember crossing the room. But suddenly I was there, swinging heavy ceramic at the intruder's head with everything I had. The lamp shattered. She went down. The pups kept attacking, and I heard myself screaming, for help, for someone, for Demon. The door burst open. Guards poured in, pulling the pups off the intruder, securing her with silver chains. Kate appeared, taking in the scene with sharp eyes. And then Demon was there, barefoot and shirtless again, looking around my destroyed suite with an expression that promised murder. Mira, he said, and his voice was remarkably calm considering the circumstances. Are you hurt? No. But the pups, she cut them. He was already checking them, hands moving over small bodies with surprising gentleness. Shallow cuts. They'll heal. Cade, get Dr. Chen. Now. Then his eyes landed on the intruder, and everything about him went deadly still. "Sasha," he said quietly. "I should have known you'd crawl out of whatever hole you've been hiding in." The woman, Sasha, spat blood. "Should have finished the job 20 years ago, Winter King. But I'll settle for finishing it now." "Get her to the dungeon," Demon said. "I want her alive and conscious. We have questions." They dragged her out, still spitting curses. The pups pressed against me, whimpering now that the threat was gone. I sank to the floor, running my hands over their fur, checking the cuts. Not deep. Not life-threatening. But they'd gotten hurt protecting me. "Thank you," I whispered. "Thank you for being so brave." "They saved your life," Demon said. He'd crouched beside us, and I could feel the heat of him even though he wasn't touching me. "If they hadn't sensed her." "I know. You saved theirs too." That lamp, something that might have been admiration, crossed his face. "Good hit." I wasn't thinking. I just acted on instinct. Protecting what's yours. His eyes met mine, and I saw something in them that made my breath catch. Pride. Recognition. Heat. "Your wolf is stronger than you think, Mira." "My wolf is confused," I said honestly. "She doesn't know what to do with any of this." "Neither does mine." He stood, offering me his hand. "Come. We need to get you all to the medical wing. And then I'm moving you to the royal family quarters. No more isolated suites. You'll be where my personal guards can protect you." "That's not necessary." "It is." His voice went hard. "Someone just sent an assassin into my palace. Into your room. That means someone knows about the pups. About you. About all of it. And I won't risk losing any of you." The way he said you, singular, personal, made something flutter in my chest. Dar. Chen patched up the pups with practiced efficiency, applying silver freeze salve to their cuts and wrapping Finn's leg where the deepest slice had gone. All 3 pups tolerated it because I was there, holding them, murmuring reassurance. "They're remarkably brave," Dr. Chen said. "Most wolves their age would have hidden. They attacked an adult assassin without hesitation. They're royal," Demon said from where he leaned against the wall. "Courage is in their blood. So is trauma." Dar. Chen met the king's eyes. "Your Majesty, I need to be honest. These pups are making progress because of Miss Cole, but they're still deeply damaged. The fact that they attacked tonight means they're starting to feel safe enough to be protective. That's good. But it also means they're forming attachments that might be complicated." "Complicated how?" "They see Mira as their mother. Their pack. Their entire world. If anything happened to her," he stopped. "Let's just say it would undo all the progress we've made. Then we make sure nothing happens to her," Demon said flatly. "There's more." Dr. Chen pulled up something on his tablet, showing Demon. The blood tests from tonight revealed something interesting. The assassin's blade had traces of the same herb compound we found in the pup system. Wolfsbane and silver root. Someone wanted to make sure that if she injured them, they couldn't shift to heal. "Someone who knows they're royal," Cade said from the doorway. "Someone who knows exactly what they are and what they can do. The same someone who's been keeping them trapped for 20 years, Demon finished. His hands curled into fists. "And now that same someone wants them dead. Wants all of us dead." He looked at me, and I saw the weight of it in his eyes. 20 years of grief. 20 years of thinking his family was gone. And now they were back, but still in danger, still targets. "I'll keep them safe," I said. "Whatever it takes." "I know you will." Something in his voice made me look up. "That's why you're dangerous." "What?" "You make people want to protect you. Want to keep you close." "Want to," he stopped, jaw clenching. "Never mind." "Cade," escort them to the royal quarters. I'm going to have a conversation with our guest. The dungeon was exactly as awful as I imagined. I'd followed Demon despite his objections, leaving the pups with Sarah and a dozen guards. They hadn't wanted me to go, but I'd promised to return, and somehow that was enough. Now I stood outside a cell door, listening to Demon interrogate Sasha with a cold precision that reminded me why they called him the Winter King. 20 years, he was saying. You've been hiding for 20 years. Someone paid you very well to stay quiet. Someone paid me well to do a job, Sasha spat back. She was chained to the wall, silver burning her wrists, but her eyes were defiant. And I did it. Prince Ryland's family burned. The bloodline ended. Or it should have. Except it didn't. Demon's voice dropped to something dangerous. The children survived. Someone helped them. Was it you? Me? Help royal brats? She laughed, ugly and harsh. I was hired to kill them. Every last one. The prince, his mate, and those 3 pups in her belly. We set the fire. Blocked the exits. Did everything right. Then how did they survive? Elena. The name came out bitter. The Luna. She was stronger than we expected. Fought like hell to protect those pups. Managed to get to an underground passage we didn't know existed. By the time we found it, she was gone. Pups were gone. We searched for weeks. And then? And then nothing. They vanished. Our employer paid us half and told us to disappear. Said if the pups ever surfaced, we'd get the other half to finish the job. She smiled, showing bloody teeth. Guess this is me finishing it. Demon moved so fast I barely saw it. One moment he was standing 5 feet away. The next he had Sasha by the throat, lifting her off the ground despite the chains. Who hired you? His voice was barely human now. All wolf. All rage. Can't breathe. He loosened his grip fractionally. Name. Now. Don't know. She gasped for air. Never saw their face. Voice was disguised. Payments came through dead drops. But they knew everything. Palace layout. Guard rotations. When the prince would be vulnerable. When Elena would be alone with the pups. Inside job, Cade said from behind me. Had to be someone with access. That's what I thought. Demon dropped Sasha, and she crumpled to the floor. Someone in my own court wanted my brother dead. Wanted his entire bloodline erased. And they almost succeeded. Why? I asked. Everyone turned to look at me, and I felt my face heat. Sorry, why? What did Prince Ryland do to make someone want him dead so badly they'd kill children? He was next in line, Demon said heavily. I was Alpha King, but I'd vowed never to take a mate. Never to have children. After our parents died, I couldn't risk it, couldn't risk loving someone enough to be vulnerable. So Ryland was my heir. His children would have inherited the throne. Understanding dawned. Unless they all died. Unless they all died, Demon agreed. Then the throne would pass to the next royal bloodline. Someone who'd been waiting. Someone who wanted power and was willing to murder children to get it. You still don't know who, Sasha said from the floor. And you never will. They covered their tracks too well. All you know is someone in your precious court is a traitor. Someone you trust. Someone you see every day. She smiled again. Sleep well, Winter King. Knowing any of them could be the one. Demon stared at her for a long moment, then turned and walked out. I followed, leaving Cade to secure the prisoner. She's right, I said as we climbed back toward the upper levels. You can't trust anyone. I can trust you. He said it simply. Certainly. Like it was obvious. You barely know me. I know you attacked an assassin with a lamp to protect 3 pups you'd known for days. I know you're teaching them to laugh again. I know my wolf recognizes you as mate even though I've spent 20 years making sure I'd never have one. He stopped at a window, looking out over the moonlit gardens. That's enough. Demon. I know what you're going to say. That we're not really mates. That it's just circumstance and proximity and stress. That once this is over, we'll both move on with our lives. He turned to face me fully. But it's not true. You feel it too. Every time I'm near. Every time our eyes meet. Every time your wolf calls to mine and mine answers. I couldn't deny it. Couldn't lie. Yes. But you don't want it. Do you? Silence. Long enough that I thought he wouldn't answer. I don't know, he finally said. For 20 years, I've been alone by choice. Isolated by design. Love makes you vulnerable. Makes you weak. Makes you a target for people who want power. His jaw clenched. My brother loved his mate with everything he had. And it got them both killed. Got his children traumatized so badly they spent 20 years as feral pups. That's what love costs in my world, Mira. Then what do? We focus on the pups. On finding the traitor. On keeping everyone alive. He stepped closer, and I could feel the heat of him, smell winter pine and snow. And we ignore what's building between us until we can't anymore. And then? Then we deal with it. Together. His hand came up, almost touching my face, then dropped. But not yet. Not while there's still danger. Not while I don't know who to trust. A door opened down the hall. Footsteps approached. We stepped apart automatically, and I saw pain flash across Demon's face at the distance. Your Majesty. A guard appeared, looking nervous. You have a visitor. Beta Derek from Crescent Valley Pack. He's demanding an audience. Says it's regarding Omega Mira Cole and Pack Law. Ice flooded my veins. No. He can't be here, Demon said sharply. I gave no permission. He claims mate rights, sire. Says under Pack Law, you have to hear his petition. That son of a bitch, I breathed. He rejected me. He doesn't have mate rights. Did you formally accept the rejection? The guard asked carefully. I froze. In the chaos of everything, the pups appearing, the banishment threat, coming here, I'd never completed the ritual. Never formally accepted Derek's rejection and severed the bond. Which meant, technically, we were still bound. Fuck, Demon said softly. Then, louder, bring him to the throne room. Now. And get Cade. This is going to get ugly. Derek looked exactly the same. Smug. Confident. Convinced of his own righteousness as he stood in the throne room, Claire at his side. He smiled when he saw me, and it made my skin crawl. Mira, he said warmly, like we were old friends. I'm glad to see you're well. We've all been so worried. Liar, I said flatly. His smile didn't waver. I'm here under Pack Law, as is my right. Mira Cole is my intended mate. We were in the process of bonding when she was, he paused delicately, taken from Crescent Valley territory. I rejected you, I said. 3 months ago. In front of the entire pack. And I rejected you first. But neither of us completed the formal severance. Which means the bond remains active, if damaged. And under Pack Law, I have the right to claim you back. He turned to Demon, who sat on the throne with an expression of ice. Your Majesty, I'm sure you understand. Pack bonds are sacred. You can't just take another alpha's mate. She's not your mate, Demon said. His voice was calm, but I could see the gold starting to bleed into his eyes. Wolf rising. Dangerously close to the surface. Pack Law says otherwise. Pack law also says a rejected mate can be reclaimed only if both parties agree. Do you agree, Mira? No, I said immediately. I'd rather die. Derek's smile finally cracked. You don't get a choice. You're defective goods, Mira. No one else will want you. I'm offering you a second chance, a chance to serve your pack, to make up for your inadequacies. You should be grateful. Grateful? The word came out sharp. You humiliated me. Marked me as cursed. Made me an outcast in my own pack. And now you want me to be grateful? You're an Omega, Claire said, speaking for the first time. You exist to serve. To bear children. To support your betters. Derek is offering you purpose despite your defects. You should accept with grace. Get out, Demon said quietly. Both of you. Now. We're not leaving without her, Derek said. Pack law. Demon was off the throne and across the room before Derek could finish. He grabbed Derek by the throat, lifting him the same way he'd lifted Sasha, and the gold in his eyes was burning now. Consuming. Feral. She. Is. Mine. Each word came out with barely controlled violence. My mate. My Omega. Mine. And if you ever speak to her like that again, I will rip your throat out and leave your body for the crows. Do you understand? Derek's eyes went wide. Claire screamed. And I felt it, the bond with Derek, damaged and twisted and poisonous, suddenly breaking. Snapping like a rotten rope. The rejection scars on my arms flared one final time, burned bright, and then faded to nothing. Gone. 20 years of pack law, of twisted bonds and formal rituals, undone by a true mate's claim. Demon dropped Derek, who crumpled to the floor, gasping. You can't, that's not. I just did. Demon's voice was rough, still more wolf than man. She's free of you. The bond is severed. And if you ever come near her again, I'll consider it an act of war. Marcus won't stand for this, Derek wheezed. You can't just steal pack members. I didn't steal anything. I claimed my true mate. There's a difference. He turned to Cade. Escort them off royal grounds. If they resist, you have permission to use force. Guards moved in, grabbing Derek and Claire. They were dragged out, still protesting, and then it was just me and Demon in the vast throne room. He stood with his back to me, shoulders heaving, fighting for control. I could see the wolf under his skin, wanting out, wanting to claim, wanting to mark. Demon, I said carefully. Are you okay? No. His voice was raw. I just claimed you in front of witnesses. Severed your bond with another wolf through sheer dominance. There's no taking it back now. I don't want to take it back. He turned, and his eyes were still gold. Still wild. You should. I told you, love makes you vulnerable. Makes you a target. By claiming you, I just painted a target on your back so big that every enemy I have will come for you. Then we deal with it. I stepped closer, drawn by something I didn't fully understand. Together. Like you said. I also said not yet. Not while there's still danger. When has there not been danger? I countered. There's a traitor in your court. Assassins in the palace. 3 traumatized pups who need us both. When exactly were you planning on dealing with this bond? When it was safe. It's never going to be safe. The words burst out of me. Don't you get that? Life isn't safe. Love isn't safe. But it's also the only thing that makes any of this worth fighting for. He stared at me, and I saw the moment something inside him broke. The carefully maintained control. The 20 years of isolation. The vow to never be vulnerable. All of it, crumbling. Damn you, he breathed. Damn you for being right. Then he kissed me. It wasn't gentle. Wasn't careful. It was 20 years of loneliness and grief and fear, meeting 3 months of rejection and pain and self-doubt, and somehow becoming something new. Something fierce. Something that felt like coming home. My wolf sang. His answered. And somewhere in the palace, 3 pups howled with joy. We broke apart, both breathing hard, and Demon rested his forehead against mine. I don't know how to do this, he admitted quietly. How to be someone's mate. How to let someone in. Neither do I said. We'll figure it out together. What if I fail? What if I can't protect you? What if you don't have to? I pulled back enough to meet his eyes. What if we protect each other? What if that's what mates do? He kissed me again, softer this time. Sweeter. You're going to destroy me, he murmured against my lips. Probably, I agreed. But I'll put you back together after. Promise? Promise. We stood there in the throne room, holding each other, while somewhere in the palace a traitor plotted and 3 royal pups waited for their family to be whole again. And for the first time in months, maybe years, I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. Broken Omega and Winter King, bound by fate and choice, facing an impossible future together. It should have been terrifying. Instead, it felt like hope. Chapter 5. The kiss changed everything and nothing. Demon still had a traitor to find. I still had 3 traumatized pups who needed me. And the palace, the entire palace, was buzzing with gossip about the Winter King's new mate. They're saying she used dark magic, I overheard a servant whisper as I passed through the kitchen. How else does a rejected Omega suddenly become important? I heard she seduced him, another replied. Used those pups as bait. Poor His Majesty, trapped by a conniving. That's enough. Sarah's sharp voice cut through the gossip. Miss Cole is a guest of the king and will be treated with respect. Or you can find employment elsewhere. The servants scattered. Sarah caught my eye and gave me a sympathetic smile, but the damage was done. I could feel the weight of every stare, every whisper, every judgment as I made my way back to the royal quarters. The pups were waiting, of course. Lila pressed against my legs the moment I entered, whining softly. Finn and Cole flanked her, forming their protective triangle. I'm okay, I told them, sinking to the floor so I could hold all 3. Just palace politics. Nothing to worry about. But Lila's amber eyes said she knew I was lying. The summons came that afternoon. Lady Seraphina requests your presence in the West Garden, a servant said, her tone carefully neutral. She said it's urgent. I'd seen Lady Seraphina exactly once. A tall, elegant woman with silver blonde hair and eyes like chips of ice. She'd been standing with Demon during the throne room incident with Derek, watching everything with an expression I couldn't read. Do I have to go? I asked the pups, who were currently sprawled across the bed. Finn had discovered he could hold crayons between his teeth and was attempting to draw what might have been a tree. Or possibly a very confused cloud. All 3 sets of ears perked up at my tone. Lila jumped down and trotted to the door, then looked back at me expectantly. You want to come? She yipped. Obviously. Fine. But you have to promise to behave. No attacking fancy ladies just because they look at me wrong. Finn made a sound that might have been agreement or might have been we'll see. The West Garden was everything I'd expect from a royal palace. Manicured hedges, flowering plants that shouldn't be blooming in October, marble fountains that probably cost more than Crescent Valley's annual budget. Lady Seraphina sat at a wrought iron table, tea service laid out with precision. Miss Cole. She smiled, and it was warm and welcoming and somehow felt like a threat. Thank you for coming. Please, sit. I thought we should get to know each other properly. I sat, the pups arranging themselves around my chair. Seraphina's eyes tracked their movement with something that looked like calculation. They're very attached to you, she observed, pouring tea into delicate china cups. Remarkable, really. Most royal wolves their age would be far too independent. They've been through trauma. They need stability. Stability. She repeated the word like she was tasting it. Yes, I suppose they do. Which is actually what I wanted to discuss with you. Sugar? No, thank you. She stirred her own tea with slow, precise movements. I've served the Silvercrest family for 15 years. I was here when Prince Rylan died. When His Majesty descended into grief and isolation. I've watched him build walls so high that no one could reach him. She looked up, meeting my eyes. And now you've come along and shattered those walls in a matter of days. I didn't mean to. Oh, I know. You're not calculating enough to have planned it. That's what makes it so perfect. She sipped her tea. A rejected Omega, broken and desperate, stumbles into the king's life with 3 lost pups who happen to be his murdered family. It reads like a romance novel, doesn't it? Heat crept up my neck. It's not like that. Isn't it? She set down her cup. Let me be frank, Miss Cole. You're not suited to be the Luna of the royal pack. You have no training, no political connections, no understanding of court politics. You don't even have a proper education. What you do have is a convenient story and 3 pups who fixated on you. They're not fixated. They're traumatized children latching onto the first source of comfort they found. It's natural. Understandable. But it's not sustainable. She leaned forward. What happens when they're older? When they need to understand pack politics and royal protocols? When they need a mother who can guide them through the complexities of court life? Can you do that? I wanted to say yes. Wanted to insist I could learn, could grow into whatever they needed. But doubt curled in my stomach like poison. Could I really be what these royal pups needed? What demon needed? I can see you're doubting yourself, Serafina said gently. That's good. Self-awareness is rare. Let me offer you something, Miss Cole. A way out that serves everyone involved. I'm listening. Leave quietly. Tonight. I'll provide you with $500,000. Enough to start a new life anywhere you choose. In return, I'll take custody of the pups. I'll ensure they receive the best care, the finest education, everything they need to become the royals they were born to be. You want me to abandon them? I want you to give them what's best for them. And what's best for His Majesty. She softened her voice. He's already lost so much, Miss Cole. Don't make him choose between his duty to the realm and his infatuation with you. Because we both know which he'll choose, eventually. And when he does, it will destroy him. Lila growled, low and warning. Serafina glanced at her with barely concealed annoyance. They'll adjust, she said. Children are resilient. And you'll be free. No more whispers. No more judgment. No more trying to fit into a world that will never accept you. She was right. About all of it. The whispers, the judgment, the impossibility of someone like me becoming Luna to the royal pack. I was broken, defective, cursed, everyone knew it. Everyone except 3 pups and a winter king who looked at me like I was something precious. I need time to think, I said, my voice barely steady. Of course. Take until tonight. But Miss Cole, she stood, smoothing her elegant dress. Think about what's truly best for them. Not what makes you feel needed. She left, and I sat there with cold tea and 3 worried pups, feeling the weight of every doubt I'd ever had about myself pressing down until I couldn't breathe. I avoided Demon for the rest of the day. It wasn't hard, he was busy with council meetings and interrogations, trying to find the traitor in his court. I spent the time with the pups, teaching Finn more crayon techniques and playing a game with Cole that involved hiding treats around the room. But my mind kept circling back to Serafina's words. Not suited to be Luna. No training. No education. What makes you feel needed? By evening, I'd almost convinced myself she was right. I need to talk to you, I told the pups after dinner. They looked up from their food bowls, sensing something wrong. About what's best for you. Lila tilted her head, amber eyes too knowing. You're royal, I continued, my throat tight. You deserve the best education, the best care, someone who knows how to prepare you for. All 3 pups bolted from the room. Wait. I ran after them, but they were fast, darting through corridors with the confidence of wolves who'd spent days mapping every inch of the palace. They led me on a chase that ended in a room I'd never seen before, a study, maybe, with walls lined with books and a desk covered in papers. Demon looked up from his work, surprise crossing his face. Mira? What's? The pups surrounded me, pressing against my legs, whining and yipping with increasing panic. Lila was pawing at my arms, right where the rejection scars used to be, like she was trying to make sure I was still whole. What happened? Demon was around the desk in seconds. What's wrong? Nothing. I was trying to talk to them about, I couldn't finish. Couldn't say the words. But Lila was shaking now. Trembling so hard I could feel it. And then something impossible happened. She started to shimmer. No, Demon breathed. Not like this. She's not ready. But it was already happening. Lila's small wolf body shifted, bones cracking and reforming, fur receding, until a little girl stood where the pup had been. Thin. Too thin. Maybe 4 years old, with dark hair and those same amber eyes. Completely naked and shaking like a leaf, her voice unused for so long it came out as a raspy scream. Don't leave us. I dropped to my knees, pulling her against me even as she sobbed and screamed and clung with desperate fingers. I won't. I promise. I won't leave. I'm here. You were going to, her voice broke. Everyone leaves. Everyone dies. Everyone goes away. But you can't. You're ours. Finn and Cole were pressing against us, still in wolf form but whining with distress. Demon had gone absolutely still, staring at his niece with an expression of devastation and hope. Lila, he said softly. Sweetheart. You shifted. She turned her head to look at him, and I saw recognition flash in her eyes. Uncle Demon? His breath hitched. Yes. I'm here. We're all here. Mama said if anything happened, we should find you. But then there was fire and screaming and she buried her face in my shoulder. I can't remember. It hurts to remember. Then don't. I held her tighter. You don't have to remember. You're safe now. Promise? Her voice was so small. So broken. I promise. She cried for a long time, great heaving sobs that shook her whole body. Finn and Cole eventually shifted too, 2 little boys with the same dark hair, the same amber eyes, the same malnourished frames that spoke of years spent in survival mode. We ended up in a pile on the floor, all of us holding each other while Demon watched with tears tracking down his face. I thought I'd lost them, he said roughly. For 20 years, I thought they were gone. And now they're here, and they're speaking, and his voice broke. Finn looked at him with solemn eyes. You're sad. Yes. Because of Mama and Papa? Demon nodded, not trusting his voice. We're sad too, Cole said quietly. He was the smallest, his voice barely above a whisper. We miss them. But Mira makes it hurt less. She does, Finn agreed. He looked at me with those 2 old eyes. You were going to leave. There was no point lying. Someone told me you'd be better off with someone else. Someone who knows how to be royal. Don't care about royal, Lila said fiercely. Care about you. You sing to us. You make us feel safe. You're ours. She's right, Cole added. You smell like pack. Like family. Like Mama used to. The words hit me like a physical blow. I'm not your mother. We know, Finn said. But you could be. If you stayed. I looked at Demon over their heads and saw my own uncertainty reflected back at me. We were two broken people trying to put together a family from pieces that shouldn't fit. Someone needs to explain what's happening, a cold voice said from the doorway. And why there are 3 naked royal children in His Majesty's study. Serafina stood there, flanked by 2 other nobles I didn't recognize. Her eyes moved from the children to me to Demon, and something calculated flickered in her expression. Lady Serafina, Demon said carefully, standing. This is a private moment. Private? She stepped inside uninvited. Your Majesty, the entire palace just heard Princess Lila scream. Half the council is on their way here as we speak. This is hardly private. As if summoned, more nobles began appearing. A dozen or more, filing into the study with expressions ranging from shock to disapproval. The children shifted, one elder noble said, staring. By the first wolf, they actually shifted. And immediately attached themselves to the Omega, another observed. How convenient. What are you implying, Lord Marcus? Demon's voice went dangerous. I'm implying nothing, Your Majesty. I'm stating facts. These children, if they're truly your brother's offspring, have bonded to an Omega of questionable background and no standing. An Omega who appeared with them mysteriously, who knows royal lullabies she shouldn't know, who conveniently becomes important just as they're discovered. You think I had something to do with the attack? I asked, pulling a blanket from the couch to cover the children. That I'd been hiding them for 20 years? Have you? Serafina asked softly. She's 22, Demon snapped. She would have been 2 when the attack happened. Use your head, Serafina. Then perhaps she's working for whoever did orchestrate it. Perhaps this entire situation is designed to destabilize the throne. Serafina looked around at the gathered nobles. Your Majesty, the council has been patient. We've allowed this situation to develop because we understood your emotional connection to these children. But now they've shifted. They're speaking. They're making claims of attachment to an Omega who has no business in the royal palace. What are you saying? Demon asked, though his tone suggested he knew. I'm saying the council demands you choose. Take a proper Luna, someone of noble blood who can strengthen our political alliances and provide stability for these children. Someone like. She paused delicately. Well, someone like me. I've served your family faithfully for 15 years. I understand pack politics and royal protocol. I could help raise these children properly. Or? Demon's voice was ice. Or continue this embarrassment with a rejected Omega and watch the council withdraw their support. Watch other packs question your judgment. Watch political alliances crumble because you chose sentiment over duty. The nobles murmured agreement. I saw it in their faces, they wanted this. Wanted me gone. Wanted things to return to the proper order where broken Omegas knew their place. She stays, Demon said flatly. Your Majesty, please be reasonable. She stays. She's my mate. End of discussion. Then the council will be forced to take action, Lord Marcus said heavily. For the good of the realm. What kind of action? Demon asked, his wolf rising behind his eyes. A vote of no confidence. Removal from the throne. Installation of a regent until you come to your senses. Lord Marcus looked almost apologetic. We don't want to do this, Your Majesty. But you're forcing our hand. Silence fell. Heavy. Suffocating. Then Lila spoke, her voice still raspy but clear. You're mean. Everyone turned to stare at her. All of you, she continued, standing on shaky legs but keeping the blanket wrapped around her. You're mean and you smell like lies. Mira doesn't lie. Mira is safe. And if you make her leave, we'll, she looked at her brothers, who'd also stood. We'll leave too. Forever. You can't leave, Serafina said, her mask slipping for just a moment. You're royalty. You belong here. We belong with Mira, Finn said firmly. Wherever she goes, we go. Children don't make these decisions, Serafina snapped. Why not? Cole asked. You're making decisions about us. About who should raise us. About what we need. But you're not asking what we want. What you want is irrelevant. You're traumatized. You can't think clearly. I'm thinking clearly, Lila said. And I think you're the one who's lying. Serafina's face went white. Excuse me? You smell wrong. Like the fire. Like the bad people who hurt Mama. Lila's nose wrinkled. You smell like them. The room went deadly silent. That's absurd, Serafina said, but her voice had gone tight. I wasn't anywhere near. No, Demon said slowly, his eyes locked on Serafina. But you were at the palace 20 years ago. You were here when it happened. And I remember now, you were furious that day. You'd just come back from visiting Dominic. You were upset. I was upset because of the political situation. No. Demon's voice was certain now. You were upset because Dominic rejected you. Because he chose Elena over you for his mate. Serafina's face went from white to red. That's. You were in love with my brother, Demon continued, pieces falling into place. You thought you'd be his Luna. Thought you'd be queen one day. But he chose a common she-wolf over a noble lady. And you couldn't accept it. So you killed them, Cade said from the doorway. He'd appeared silently, holding a folder. I'd been going through old records. Financial transactions. Communications. And I found something interesting, my lady. Large payments to offshore accounts. Payments that coincide exactly with the dates of the attack and the subsequent searches for the pups. That proves nothing, Serafina hissed. It proves you had the means. And now we know you had the motive. Demon stepped toward her. Where are they, Serafina? The others who helped you? The rogues you hired? I don't know what you're talking about. You orchestrated the entire thing, Demon said. You killed my brother. His mate. You tried to kill 3 innocent children. And you've spent 20 years positioning yourself to become my Luna. To eliminate the true bloodline heirs permanently. You're insane, Serafina said, but her eyes were darting toward the exits. Guards, Demon called. Arrest Lady Serafina on charges of conspiracy to commit murder, treason, and crimes against the royal family. Serafina moved fast, faster than anyone expected. She grabbed Lila, pulling the little girl against her with a knife that appeared from nowhere, pressing it to the child's throat. Stay back, Serafina warned. All of you. Or I'll finish what I started 20 years ago. Lila whimpered. Finn and Cole started forward, but Demon grabbed them. Let her go, Demon said carefully. This doesn't have to end badly. Doesn't it? Serafina laughed, high and broken. I gave everything to this family. 15 years of service. 15 years of waiting for Dominic to see me. And he chose her. A nobody. Just like you're choosing this pathetic Omega over me now. Serafina. I should have been Luna. I should have been queen. I had the bloodline, the training, the connections. But no. He wanted love. He wanted some common fantasy of true mates and destiny. She pressed the knife harder, and I saw blood bead on Lila's throat. So I took it all away. Burned it all down. And I'd do it again. You won't get away with this, Cade said. Won't I? I have a hostage. I have exits planned. And I have absolutely nothing left to lose. She started backing toward the window. You want the pup alive? You'll let me leave. You'll give me 12 hours head start. And you'll never look for me. No deal, Demon said. Then she dies. Right here. Right now. And you'll have to live with that for the rest of your life. I was moving before I consciously decided to. 22 years of being invisible. Being overlooked. Being underestimated. All of it suddenly an advantage as I crossed the room in 3 silent steps and grabbed Serafina's wrist. She gasped, turning, and the knife wavered. Lila dropped, scrambling away. Demon lunged forward, disarming Serafina with brutal efficiency. Guards swarmed her, silver chains appearing to bind her wrists. You're nothing, Serafina spat at me as they dragged her away. A broken Omega playing at being important. You'll never be good enough. Never be what he needs. Never. The door closed, cutting off her words. Lila threw herself into my arms, sobbing. Finn and Cole piled on, and then Demon was there too, wrapping all of us in his embrace. You saved her, he said roughly. You saved my niece. She's ours, I said simply. All of them. And no one hurts what's ours. He kissed me, hard and fierce and claiming, while 3 royal pups clung to us both. The nobles who remained looked uncertain. Uncomfortable. Like they'd just realized they'd backed the wrong horse. The council meeting is over, Demon announced, not looking away from me. Anyone who has a problem with my choice of mate can submit their resignation in writing. Everyone else, get out. Now. They left in silence. And then it was just us. A found family, broken and healing, holding each other in the wreckage of a 20-year-old tragedy. What happens now? Lila asked, her voice muffled against my shoulder. Demon and I looked at each other, and I saw the answer in his eyes. Now, I said, we become a family. A real one. And we face whatever comes next together. Promise? Cole asked. Promise, Demon and I said together. And for the first time since this all began, I believed it might actually be true. Chapter 6. The dungeon cells beneath the palace were different from where Sasha had been held. These were older. Carved from stone that predated the current palace structure, etched with symbols that made my wolf whimper in recognition even though I'd never seen them before. Magic hummed in the walls, ancient, powerful, and absolutely binding. I invoke trial by blood moon, Serafina said from behind silver bars, her voice carrying through the dungeon. She was bruised from her arrest, disheveled, but her eyes burned with fanatical certainty. Under Article 7 of the First Laws, I claim this Omega has used dark magic to bewitch the Alpha King and the royal heirs. I demand she prove her innocence through trial. That law hasn't been invoked in 200 years, Cade said, flipping through a massive tome he'd brought. It's archaic. Brutal. We don't even. The law still stands, Lord Marcus said quietly. He'd appeared along with the remaining council members, all of them looking grave. If Lady Serafina invokes it, we must honor it. The first laws supersede all modern legislation. This is insane, Demon growled. Mira hasn't bewitched anyone. Then she'll have no trouble proving it. Serafina's smile was vicious. 3 trials during the blood moon, 2 nights from now. Survive them all, and she's declared innocent. Fail even one, and she's executed. The mate bond will be voided by ancient magic, freeing you to choose a proper Luna. I won't allow this. You don't have a choice, Your Majesty. Lord Marcus looked genuinely pained. The first laws are absolute. Once invoked, they must be honored. To refuse would be to break the foundation of pack law itself. Then change the law. We can't. Not in time. The blood moon rises in 48 hours. The magic is already gathering. He gestured to the symbols on the walls, which were starting to glow with faint red light. The trial will happen whether we want it or not. I felt cold. Colder than I'd ever been. What are the trials? Cade read from the tome, his voice heavy. Trial 1, Combat. The accused must survive an attack by 3 silver-collared wolves, warriors wearing collars that amplify their aggression and dull their reason. Trial 2, Will. The accused must resist alpha command from the 3 strongest wolves in the kingdom. Trial 3, Endurance. The accused must withstand the blood moon's power, which drives unbonded wolves mad, for 1 full hour without losing their mind. That's a death sentence, Demon said flatly. She's an Omega. She can't fight trained warriors. She can't resist alpha command. And the blood moon's power, he stopped, his jaw clenching so hard I could hear his teeth grind. This is murder dressed up as law. It's justice, Seraphina said. If she's innocent, the trials won't kill her. The first laws protect the pure. The first laws kill the weak, Demon shot back. That's all they've ever done. Then perhaps she's not strong enough to be your Luna. Seraphina met my eyes. What do you say, little Omega? Ready to prove you're not the fraud I know you are? I wanted to say yes. Wanted to be brave and fierce and certain. Instead, I heard myself ask. What happens if I refuse the trial? Automatic guilt, Lord Marcus said. Immediate execution. And the mate bond breaks anyway. And the children? Silence answered me. Long enough that I understood. They'd be given to whoever the council deems worthy, Seraphina said sweetly. Probably me, since I've been caring for the royal family for 15 years. I'd raise them properly. Teach them what they need to know. Help them forget all about the Omega who used them. Rage flooded through me, hot and bright and feral. My wolf surged forward, and I felt my eyes shift gold for the first time in my life. I accept the trial, I heard myself say. All 3 trials. And when I survive them, I'm going to make you regret every word you just said. Seraphina laughed. We'll see, little Omega. We'll see. They gave me a cell of my own. Not a dungeon cell, those were for criminals. Mine was technically a trial chamber, a room carved from the same ancient stone with a bed, a basin of water, and nothing else. The door locked from the outside, and guards stood watch to make sure no one helped me prepare. No one except Demon, apparently. Royal privilege allowed him 1 visit before the trials began. He came that first night, looking like he'd aged 10 years in the past few hours. There has to be a way out of this, he said, pacing the small space. A loophole. Some ancient precedent. Something. You've been reading the law books. All of them. Twice. Cade's reading them a 3rd time just in case we missed something. He stopped, turning to face me. I won't let you die for this. I'll break the law if I have to. Start a war with my own council. Burn down the whole damn system. And then what? I asked quietly. You'd be a king without a kingdom. The children would grow up in chaos. Everything you've built would crumble. I don't care. Yes, you do. You care about duty and honor and doing what's right even when it costs you everything. I stood, crossing to him. That's who you are. That's why you're a good king. I'm a terrible king if I can't even protect my own mate. You're protecting an entire kingdom. Sometimes that means, my voice broke. Sometimes that means sacrificing 1 person for the greater good. No. He grabbed my shoulders, his eyes blazing. Don't you dare make yourself the martyr here. Don't you dare give up before the fight even starts. I'm not giving up. I'm being realistic. I'm an Omega, Demon. I've never been strong. Never been fast. Never been anything special except to 3 pups who needed someone, anyone, to care about them. That's not true. Isn't it? I pulled away from him. Everyone's been saying it for months. Years, maybe. That I'm defective. Cursed. Not good enough. And maybe they're right. Maybe I've been fooling myself thinking I could be something more. Stop. His voice went rough. You are something more. You already have been. You faced down Derek. Protected the children from assassins. Disarmed Serafina when trained guards couldn't. You're stronger than you know. Or maybe I've just been lucky. There's no such thing as luck in wolf dynamics. There's instinct. There's courage. He stopped, studying my face. You're scared. Of course I'm scared. I'm going to die in 2 days. You're not going to die. You can't promise that. Watch me. He pulled me against him, holding tight enough that I could feel his heart racing. You're going to survive this trial. All 3 parts. And then we're going to make Serafina regret she ever invoked this law. Together. I wanted to believe him. Wanted to feel the certainty he projected. Instead, I just felt tired. The children, I said. When I'm gone. When I'm gone, promise me you'll take care of them. Help them shift fully. Teach them to be the royals they were born to be. Promise me they'll know they were loved. Mira. Promise me. He pulled back, his eyes searching mine. Then he kissed me, desperate and fierce and tasting like goodbye. I promise, he said against my lips. But I'm also promising this, you're not going to die. Whatever it takes. Whatever I have to do. You're going to survive. You can't interfere. The law forbids it. Then I'll find a way to help without interfering. His jaw set in that stubborn line I was coming to know. Trust me. I do. He kissed me again, then left before the guards could make him. The door locked behind him with a finality that made my chest ache. I was alone. And in 48 hours, I'd face 3 trials designed to kill me. The blood moon rose on the second night, painting the sky the color of old blood. They led me from my cell to an arena I didn't know existed, carved into the mountain behind the palace, open to the sky, surrounded by stadium seating where what looked like the entire pack had gathered to watch. To watch me die. The pups were there, I could hear them, Lila screaming my name, Finn and Cole howling with distress. But they were held back by guards, too far away to reach me. Demon sat in the royal box, chained to his throne with silver. Not metaphorically. Actual silver chains bound his wrists and ankles, ensuring he couldn't interfere even if he wanted to. His eyes met mine across the arena, and I saw the rage burning there. The helplessness. The love. Trial 1 begins, Lord Marcus announced, his voice magically amplified. The accused will face 3 silver-collared warriors in combat. She must survive for 10 minutes. If she falls before the time expires, she fails. 3 wolves entered the arena from the opposite side. Massive. Easily twice my size. Wearing thick silver collars that pulsed with red light matching the moon overhead. Their eyes were glazed, feral, all humanity stripped away by the collar's magic. They saw me and charged. I didn't have time to think. Barely had time to shift, my Omega wolf emerging in a flash of pain and disorientation. Small. Fast. But nowhere near strong enough to face 3 warriors. The first one hit me like a truck, jaws closing on my shoulder. I felt bones crack, tasted blood. My wolf yelped, twisting free, but the second warrior was already there, claws raking down my side. Pain exploded through me. Red and bright and consuming. I ran. Dodged. Tried to use my smaller size to my advantage. But they were trained for this. They worked together, hurting me, cutting off escape routes. The third warrior caught my back leg. I went down hard, sliding across stone that tore fur and flesh. Tried to get up. Couldn't. My leg wouldn't hold weight. 5 minutes, some distant part of my mind said. Only 5 minutes. I'd never survive 5 more minutes. A warrior lunged for my throat. I rolled, barely avoiding death, but felt teeth scrape my neck. Drawing blood. So close. The crowd roared. Bloodthirsty. Excited. This was entertainment to them. My death would be a story they'd tell for years. Get up, my wolf snarled. Get up or die. I got up. Limping. Bleeding. Vision starting to blur. But I got up. The warriors circled me, and I saw strategy in their glazed eyes. They'd learned. Adapted. They knew I was injured. Knew this was the end. They attacked as one. I closed my eyes. And heard Lila scream, "Fight! You promised you'd fight." My eyes snapped open. The warriors were on me, teeth and claws aiming for vital spots. I couldn't dodge. Couldn't run. Could barely stand. So I did the only thing left. I went for the collars. My jaws closed on silver, and it burned, oh God, it burned. But I bit down anyway. Felt metal give. Felt the magic snap. The warrior I'd bitten stumbled, the feral glaze clearing from his eyes. He looked around, confused, then bolted from the arena in horror at what he'd done. 2 left. But now I knew their weakness. I limped toward the second warrior, using my injured leg as bait. He lunged. I twisted at the last second, going for his collar instead of away from his teeth. Bit down. Felt silver sear my tongue, my throat, everything. The collar broke. He fled. 1 left. But I was done. Finished. Blood pooled beneath me from wounds that wouldn't close fast enough. My vision tunneled. My legs gave out. The last warrior approached slowly, savoring the kill. Time. Lord Marcus's voice boomed. 10 minutes. Trial 1 complete. The accused survives. The warrior stopped, confused, then was recalled by his handlers. The collar was removed, and he collapsed, sobbing. I collapsed too. Healers rushed into the arena, but I barely felt their hands. Barely heard Demon roaring against his chains. Barely registered the pups crying my name. I'd survived. Barely. And there were still 2 trials left. They gave me 2 hours to heal before trial 2. It wasn't enough. The wounds from silver-tainted bites were closing, but slowly. Too slowly. My shoulder was still wrong, the bone not quite set properly. My leg dragged when I tried to walk. You can forfeit, Dr. Chen said as he worked. No one would blame you. You've already proven your courage. Forfeiting means execution. So does failing the next trial. At least forfeiting would be quick. Painless. His hands were gentle despite his words. Trial 2 is going to break you, Mira. Alpha command from the 3 strongest wolves in the kingdom. You're an Omega. Your wolf is built to submit to Alpha command. Fighting it goes against your entire nature. Then I'll break my nature. That's not how it works. It has to be. I struggle to sit up. Those children need me. Demon needs me. I can't just give up because biology says I should. Biology isn't the enemy here. Serafina is. And she's winning. He was right. I could feel it, the weakness in my limbs, the way my wolf whimpered at the thought of facing more alphas. I'd barely survived the physical trial. How was I supposed to survive one designed specifically to break Omega will? They led me back to the arena 2 hours later. The blood moon hung higher now, fuller, its red light making everything look painted in blood. The crowd had grown. Apparently word had spread that the Omega was somehow surviving, and everyone wanted to see her final failure. Demon still sat chained in the royal box. But something had changed in his eyes. Instead of rage, I saw calculation. Like he was working through a problem. Planning something. The chains wouldn't let him interfere directly. But Demon was nothing if not clever. Trial 2 begins, Lord Marcus announced. The accused will face Alpha command from 3 wolves. Beta Cade, First General Roderick, and Alpha King Demon himself. She must resist each command for 1 full minute. Failure to resist means failure of the trial. My heart stopped. Demon. They were making Demon command me. Our eyes met across the arena, and I saw the horror in his face. He was shaking his head, pulling against the chains hard enough that I could smell silver burning his wrists. I won't do it, he called out. I won't command my own mate. You have no choice, Your Majesty, Seraphina said from her own guarded seat. The law demands it. Unless you'd like to forfeit your throne? Demon's jaw clenched, but he stayed silent. Cade entered the arena first, and I could see the reluctance in every line of his body. I'm sorry, he said quietly. I don't want to do this. I know. He took a deep breath, and his alpha presence flooded the arena. Strong. Commanding. Undeniable. Kneel, he commanded, his voice layered with power. My wolf whimpered. My knees started to buckle. Every instinct I had screamed at me to obey, to submit, to be a good Omega and do what the Alpha commanded. I locked my knees. Gritted my teeth. Fought. It felt like pushing against a mountain. Like trying to hold back the tide. My whole body shook with the effort of disobedience. Kneel, Cade commanded again, and his power doubled. Tripled. The air itself seemed to press down on me. I went down on one knee. Couldn't help it. The command was too strong. But I didn't go down on both. Kept one foot planted. Kept fighting. 30 seconds, someone called. My vision started to gray. The effort of resistance was burning through me like fire, eating up the little strength I'd recovered. 45 seconds. I was going to pass out. Going to fall. Going to fail. 60 seconds. She resists. Beta Cade's command is insufficient. Cade immediately dropped his power, and I collapsed, gasping. He caught me before I hit the ground fully. You did it, he breathed. Holy hell, you actually did it. 1 down, I managed. 2 to go. General Roderick was next, and he showed no mercy. His alpha presence slammed into me like a physical blow. Stronger than Cade. More brutal. More absolute. Submit, he commanded, and every cell in my body screamed yes. I felt my neck bare automatically, exposing my throat in the ultimate gesture of submission. Felt my wolf whimper and curl in on herself. Felt every defense I had crumble under the weight of his command. Submit, he commanded again, layering more power into the word until it echoed in my bones. I couldn't fight this. Couldn't resist. An Omega couldn't withstand this kind of alpha pressure. It was impossible. Unnatural. Wrong. But I'd been called wrong my entire life. Defective. Broken. Cursed. Maybe it was time to embrace it. I focused on the wrongness inside me. The part that had never fit pack dynamics, never responded properly to authority, never been what an Omega should be. The part Derek had hated. The part everyone had tried to fix or suppress or ignore. And I used it. No, I whispered. The word shouldn't have had power. Shouldn't have meant anything against an alpha's command. But something in me responded to that, no, something deep and old and absolutely immovable. My wolf stopped whimpering. Started growling instead. 30 seconds, the timekeeper called. Submit. Roderick roared, his power exploding outward until wolves in the crowd whimpered and bowed their heads. I stood up. Shouldn't have been able to. Every law of pack dynamics said it was impossible. But I was standing, meeting his eyes, and my wolf was snarling a challenge. 60 seconds. She resists. General Roderick's command is insufficient. Roderick looked at me with something between shock and respect, then bowed his head and left the arena. 2 down. 1 to go. Demon. The chains released from his throne, and he descended into the arena with steps that were too slow. Too reluctant. When he reached me, I saw agony in his eyes. I can't do this, he said, voice breaking. I can't command my own mate. My wolf won't allow it. You have to, I said. The law demands it. Fuck the law. If you refuse, I fail automatically. Is that what you want? His hands curled into fists. What I want is to burn this entire system to the ground. Later, I promised. After I survive. We'll burn it all together. He closed his eyes, and when he opened them again, they were full gold. His wolf was at the surface, and the power that rolled off him made Cade and Roderick's commands feel like gentle suggestions. This was the Alpha King. The Winter King. The most powerful wolf in the kingdom. And he was about to command me. Mira, he said, his voice resonating with layers of power that made my bones vibrate. Run. Run from this place and never come back. It wasn't what I expected. Not a command to submit or kneel or bow. A command to save myself. To leave him. And my wolf, my broken, defective, wrong wolf, absolutely refused. The command washed over me like water. Powerful. Undeniable. Except I didn't feel the need to obey. Didn't feel compelled at all. Because a true mate's command couldn't override a true mate's bond. No, I said clearly. I'm not running. I'm not leaving. I'm staying right here with you. Demon's power surged higher, desperate now. Run. Save yourself. Leave me. No. The word came out with power of my own, not alpha power, but something else. Something that made the blood moon overhead pulse brighter. Something that made every wolf in the arena freeze. White gold light exploded from my body. I felt it rising inside me like a tidal wave, power I'd never accessed, never known existed. My wolf shifted, growing, changing, becoming something more than she'd been. My eyes, I knew without seeing, were glowing white gold. And the aura that poured off me wasn't Omega submission. It was Luna authority. Pure. Ancient. Absolute. Enough, I heard myself say, and my voice echoed with the same layered power demons had carried. This trial is over. These laws are unjust. And I will not be bound by them any longer. Every wolf in the arena, including Demon, dropped to one knee. Not in submission. In recognition. True Luna, someone breathed. She's a true Luna. The power kept pouring out of me, and I understood now. Understood why Derek's rejection had never fully taken. Why my wolf had never manifested until Demon. Why the pups had found me. I wasn't defective. I was dormant. Waiting for my true mate. My true purpose. My true power. And now it was awake. The trial, Serafina screamed from her seat. She has to complete the trial. The trial is complete, Lord Marcus said, staring at me with awe. She resisted all 3 commands. No, she transcended them. By the first laws, she passes trial too. The crowd erupted. Some in celebration. Some in shock. Some in fear. But I only saw Demon, still kneeling, looking at me like I was the answer to every prayer he'd ever made. One trial left, I said, my voice still carrying that strange power. Let's finish this. The white gold light faded, and I collapsed. Demon caught me before I hit the ground, his chains gone, his throne abandoned. I've got you, he whispered. I've got you, my Luna. My mate. My everything. Trial 3, I managed. Have to survive. You will. He held me close. Because you're not what they said you were. You were never broken. You were just waiting to become who you were always meant to be. Above us, the blood moon pulsed. And somewhere in the palace, 3 royal pups howled their joy at feeling their Luna's power for the first time. One trial left. One final test. And then, if I survived, everything would change. Chapter 7. I woke in silk sheets that smelled like winter pine and home. My body ached, deep, bone-level exhaustion that spoke of power used and limits reached. But beneath the exhaustion, I felt something else. Something new. Strength. Not physical strength, though my wounds from the trials had healed completely, leaving not even scars. This was different. Deeper. Like I'd been living my entire life with weights strapped to my soul, and someone had finally cut them loose. You're awake. Demon's voice came from beside the bed. He sat in a chair pulled close, his hand wrapped around mine, looking like he hadn't slept in days. How do you feel? Different. I sat up slowly, testing my body. What happened after I collapsed? You slept for 18 hours straight. Dr. Chen said your body needed time to adjust to the power awakening. He squeezed my hand. You scared the hell out of me. Again. Trial 3. Is waived. The council declared that any wolf who could manifest true Luna power has proven themselves beyond doubt. Seraphina's accusations are null. His jaw tightened. Though she's still awaiting trial for her actual crimes. The children? Demanding to see you. I've been holding them off to let you rest, but, he stopped as the door burst open. Lila ran in first, but she wasn't in wolf form. A little girl in a soft blue dress, dark hair and pigtails, amber eyes bright with tears of joy. She launched herself at the bed, and I caught her automatically. Mama Mira. She buried her face in my neck. You're awake. You're okay. We felt your power and then you went to sleep and we were so scared, but Uncle Demon said you just needed rest, Anne. Breathe, sweetheart, I said, stroking her hair. My heart caught on what she'd called me. Mama Mira. I'm okay. I promise. Finn and Cole followed more slowly, both in human form too. Finn wore glasses now, apparently he'd needed them for years but couldn't communicate it in wolf form. Cole held a stuffed bear that looked well loved. They climbed onto the bed from either side, sandwiching me between small, warm bodies. You were glowing, Finn said seriously. White and gold. Like the moon but warmer. It was pretty, Cole added. And it made our wolves feel safe. So we shifted back. Dr. Chen said we'd been trying to shift for days but couldn't until we felt your Luna power. The trauma kept them trapped, Demon explained quietly. But your presence, your Luna presence, soothed something in them. Gave them the security they needed to be vulnerable enough to shift. I looked at the 3 children curled around me, so small and brave and perfect, and felt something crack open in my chest. Mama Mira, Lila said again, testing the words. Is that okay? Can we call you that? I'm not, I started, then stopped. Looked at Demon, who was watching me with an expression of barely controlled emotion. I'm not your mother. Your mother was Elena, and she loved you very much. We know, Finn said. We remember her now. The shifting helped us remember. She was brave and strong and she saved us from the fire. But she's gone, Cole said matter-of-factly. And you're here. And you protected us and sang to us and made us feel safe. That's what mamas do. So can we call you Mama Mira? Lila asked again. Please. I looked at these 3 royal children who'd spent 20 years as feral pups, who'd survived horrors no child should face, who'd somehow found their way to a broken Omega who didn't know what she was doing. Yes, I whispered. You can call me Mama Mira. They cheered and hugged me tighter, and I saw Demon turn away, his shoulders shaking slightly. Uncle Demon's crying, Cole announced. But happy crying. We can tell the difference now. Come here, I said, extending a hand to him. He crossed to the bed, and I pulled him down beside us. 5 people on one mattress, tangled together, and it shouldn't have worked, but somehow it did. This was my pack. My family. And I'd kill anyone who tried to take them from me again. The Luna power manifested in strange ways over the next 3 days. I could feel the pack now, every wolf in the palace, their emotions and health and loyalty all connecting to me through invisible threads. When a kitchen worker cut herself badly, I knew before anyone told me. Walked to the kitchen and placed my hands on the wound, and it healed. Just closed up like it had never been there. True Lunas are the balance to Alpha Kings, Dar. Shin explained during one of many examinations. Alpha Kings command through power and dominance. True Lunas command through connection and protection. You can sense threats, heal injuries, and inspire loyalty not through force but through genuine care. So I'm like a pack empath? More than that. You're the heart of the pack while the Alpha King is its spine. Together, you create something stronger than either alone. He made notes on his tablet. There are prophecies about true Lunas, you know. Ancient texts that speak of them appearing during times of great need. What kind of prophecies? He pulled up something on his screen, reading, when the broken bloodline finds the hidden Luna, the kingdom will rise from ash. The lost will be found, the wounded will heal, and love will prove stronger than death itself. That's ominous. Prophecies usually are. He closed the tablet. But it explains why the pups found you. Why your power awakened now. You were always meant to be here, Mira. Meant to help put this family back together. I wasn't sure I believed in destiny. But I couldn't deny that something larger than coincidence had brought me here. The children thrived under the Luna power. They started speaking more, remembering more, slowly becoming the royal heirs they should have been. Lila was bossy and brilliant. Finn was quiet and thoughtful, always reading. Cole was the peacemaker, somehow knowing exactly what everyone needed before they asked. They were perfect. And they were mine to protect. The attack came on the 4th night. I felt it first, a disturbance in the pack bonds, something wrong in the palace's lower levels. I bolted upright in bed, my Luna senses screaming danger. Demon was up instantly, already reaching for weapons. What is it? Something's wrong. The dungeons. Someone's understanding crashed over me. Serafina. She's escaping. We ran. Through corridors, downstairs, guards falling into formation around us. By the time we reached the dungeon level, alarms were already sounding. Serafina's cell stood open. Empty. 3 guards lay dead, throats torn out. She had help, Cade said grimly, examining the bodies. Inside help. These guards were killed by wolves they trusted, there's no sign of struggle. How many loyalists does she have? Demon demanded. More than we thought, apparently. Cade's phone buzzed. He answered, listened, and went pale. Your Majesty. The children's room. There's been a breach. We ran again. The royal nursery, we'd moved the children there once they shifted, giving them a space that felt safe and warm, was in chaos. Furniture overturned. Windows broken. And 2 guards unconscious on the floor. Lila and Cole stood in the center of the room, holding each other. Both crying. Finn was gone. No. The word tore out of me. No, no, no. They took him, Lila sobbed. The bad lady came with other wolves. They grabbed Finn and he screamed for us, but they hit him and he stopped screaming and she couldn't finish, burying her face in Cole's shoulder. I dropped to my knees, pulling both children against me. It's okay. We'll get him back. I promise. How? Cole asked, his voice small. They took him out the window. They're gone. Cade's phone buzzed again. He read the message and his expression went grim. They left this. He showed Demon the screen. I couldn't see it from where I knelt with the children, but I saw Demon's face go absolutely cold. What does it say? I asked. It's for you. Demon's voice was tight. Serafina wants you to come to the Forbidden Ruins. Alone. Midnight tonight. If you don't come, or if you bring anyone with you, Finn dies. The Forbidden Ruins. I'd heard of them, ancient stone structures at the border of royal territory, long abandoned, said to be cursed. The perfect place for a trap. I'm going, I said immediately. No. Demon's alpha command rolled through the word. Absolutely not. She has Finn. And she'll kill you the moment you arrive. This is an obvious trap, Mira. She's counting on your Luna instincts, your need to protect your pack, to override your common sense. I don't care if it's a trap. I'm not leaving him there. I'll send elite guards. A full tactical team. We'll get him back. She said alone. If I bring anyone. She's going to kill him anyway. Demon's control cracked. This is Serafina we're talking about. She murdered my brother's entire family. You think she'll honor her word to spare one child? I think I don't have a choice. You always have a choice. No, I don't. I stood, gently setting Lila and Cole with a guard. I'm his Luna. His mother now. What kind of mother abandons her child to save herself? The kind who stays alive to protect her other children, Demon shot back. You think Lila and Cole want to lose you too? You think he stopped, jaw clenching. I've already lost one family to Serafina. I won't lose another. Then help me save him. I am helping. By keeping you away from an obvious death trap. I stepped closer, meeting his eyes. Do you trust me? What? Do you trust my strength? My power? My ability to protect our pack? I let my Luna authority rise, not to command him but to show him what I was now. Or do you still see me as the weak Omega everyone else did? His eyes flashed gold. That's not fair. Isn't it? You're trying to protect me by keeping me locked away. Just like Derek tried to control me by keeping me in my place. Just like everyone in my life has told me I'm not strong enough, not good enough, not enough. This is different. Is it? Because right now it feels like you don't trust me to handle this. Don't trust that my Luna power is real. Don't trust that I can save our son. Our son. The words came out raw. You have no idea what those words do to me. What the thought of losing any of you does to me. Then stop trying to protect me from my own purpose. I softened my voice. I know you're scared. I'm scared too. But I'm also the Luna now. And Lunas protect their pack. Even when it's dangerous. Even when it might cost them everything. We stood there, locked in a battle of wills, two alphas clashing over protection versus trust. The mate bond flared between us, pulling tight with tension. If you do this, Demon said finally, you're not going alone. I don't care what Serafina demanded. I'll follow at a distance. Stay hidden. But I will not let you walk into that trap without backup. She'll know. She'll kill him. Then I'll make sure she doesn't know. His hands cupped my face. I'm not losing you. Or Finn. Or any of this family we're building. So we do this together. We save our son together. And then we end Serafina together. Understood? I could argue. Could insist on going alone. But the truth was, I didn't want to face this alone. Together, I agreed. He kissed me, desperate and claiming, and I felt the mate bond settle between us. Still tense. Still worried. But together. Cade, Demon said without looking away from me. Assemble the elite guard. Tell them to prepare for a stealth operation. We leave in 2 hours. The forbidden ruins lived up to their name. Ancient stone pillars jutted from the ground like broken teeth, carved with symbols that made my Luna senses recoil. The air tasted wrong, thick with old magic and older blood. Nothing grew here. Not even weeds. I arrived alone, as instructed. Or appearing to be alone. I knew Demon and his guards were hidden in the tree line, far enough back that Seraphina shouldn't detect them. Hopefully. I'm here, I called out. I came alone. Let Finn go. Seraphina emerged from behind a pillar, dragging Finn with her. The little boy was bound and gagged, his eyes wide with terror, but alive. When he saw me, he struggled against his restraints. Mama Mira, he tried to say through the gag. It came out muffled but desperate. I'm here, baby, I said, keeping my voice calm. Everything's going to be okay. Is it? Seraphina's smile was vicious. Because I have to say, I didn't think you'd actually come. Most people value their lives more than. She stopped, her nose twitching. You brought backup. I came alone. Liar. She pulled Finn closer, a knife appearing at his throat. The Winter King is here. I can smell him. Which means you just killed this child. Wait, I started, but it was too late. Wolves poured from the ruins. Dozens of them. More than should have fit in the space. All rogues, all wearing the same expression of hatred. Survivors from the original attack, Seraphina announced. They've been waiting 20 years for revenge on the Silvercrest line. And you just delivered them 3 royal children and an alpha king. Demon and his guards exploded from the tree line. The battle became chaos. Wolves everywhere, clawing, biting, killing. Blood sprayed across ancient stone. Screams echoed through the ruins. I shifted immediately, my Luna wolf larger and stronger than she'd ever been, and went for Finn. Seraphina met me halfway. We collided in a tangle of teeth and claws. She was strong, stronger than she should be, like she'd been enhanced somehow. Her teeth found my shoulder, ripped deep. I tasted blood, mine, hers, I couldn't tell. But I couldn't let her win. Finn was right there, still bound, defenseless. I channeled my Luna power, not into healing this time but into force. It exploded from me in a wave of white gold light, throwing Seraphina back 20 feet. She hit a pillar and crumpled. I grabbed Finn, tore through his restraints with my teeth, pulled the gag free. Mama Mira, he sobbed, throwing his arms around my wolf's neck. I've got you. Hold tight. I ran, carrying him toward where Demon was fighting 3 rogues at once. He saw us coming, his wolf surging with renewed fury at the sight of his nephew safe. But there were too many enemies. Too many rogues who wanted revenge. And they were all converging on one target. Demon. No. I screamed, but it was too late. A rogue with a silver blade lunged. Demon twisted to avoid the strike, but it put him off balance. Another rogue took advantage, claws raking down his side. And then a third, the one with the silver blade, stabbed him straight through the chest. Time stopped. I watched Demon fall, blood blooming across his shirt, silver poison spreading through his system. And I felt it through the mate bond, his pain, his shock, his life starting to slip away. True mates die together. The words echoed in my head as my own chest exploded with pain. Not a physical wound, but something worse. The mate bond was killing me too, trying to pull me into death with him. Demon. I shifted back to human, Finn clutched in my arms, running toward where the king lay bleeding. Cade and the guards formed a protective circle around us, fighting off the rogues still pressing in. But I could see it in their faces, they knew we were losing. I dropped to my knees beside Demon, pressing my hands to the wound. His blood soaked through my fingers, too much blood, and the silver was spreading black veins across his chest. No, I whispered. No, you don't get to die. Not now. Not after everything. His eyes opened, unfocused and golden. Mira. You, safe? I'm fine. Finn's fine. Everyone's fine except you, you stupid alpha. Tears streamed down my face. Why didn't you dodge? Why did you? Protecting, family. His hand came up, touching my face with bloody fingers. Worth it. It's not worth it if you die, you idiot. He smiled. Actually smiled. Love you, too. The mate bond pulled tighter. I could feel my own life draining now, being pulled toward death alongside his. We had minutes at most. Around us, the battle still raged. Serafina had recovered, was fighting through demons' guards with renewed fury. The rogues were pressing closer, scenting victory. Mama Mira? Finn's small voice came from beside me. Can you heal him? Like you healed the kitchen lady? I don't know if I can heal silver poisoning. It's too deep, too fast. Try, Finn begged. Please try. I looked at Demon, at the king who'd given me a home and a purpose and a family. At the mate who'd seen me as strong when everyone else saw only weakness. I wasn't going to let him die. I placed both hands over the wound and let my Luna power pour out. Not gentle healing this time. Not careful. Everything I had, everything I was, channeled into one desperate attempt to save my mate. White gold light exploded from my hands. And the ruins began to shake. What's happening? Cade yelled over the sound of stone cracking. She's healing him, Dr. Chen's voice came from somewhere. She's using Luna power on a massive scale. It's destabilizing the magic in the ruins. Will it work? I don't know. No one's ever. The light grew brighter. Blinding. I felt the silver burning away under my power, felt Demon's wolf fighting back against death, felt the mate bond strengthen instead of pull us both into the dark. Come on, I whispered. Come back to me. We have children to raise. A kingdom to fix. A lifetime ahead of us. So you don't get to die tonight. Live. The wound under my hands began to close. Slowly. Painfully. But closing. Demon's eyes snapped open, clear now, no longer fading. Mira, he gasped. I've got you, I said. I'll always have you. The light faded, and I collapsed across his chest, completely drained. But he was breathing. The wound was closed. The silver was gone. He was alive. That, Demon said weakly, was the most terrifying thing I've ever experienced. You're welcome, I managed. Touching, Serafina's voice came from above us. But futile. I looked up to see her standing on a fallen pillar, surrounded by rogues. We were outnumbered 3-1, Demon was too weak to fight, and I'd just used every drop of power I had. We were trapped. Any last words before I finish what I started 20 years ago? Serafina asked. I looked at Demon, at Finn clinging to us both, at the guards forming a desperate last stand. And I smiled. Just one, I said. Duck. Serafina frowned. What? An arrow took her in the shoulder, spinning her around. More arrows followed, raining down from the tree line. Not the guards who'd come with us, these were different. Faster. More precise. And then they emerged. Elena's pack. The wolves who'd served Prince Rylan and his Luna 20 years ago. The ones who'd survived the massacre and gone into hiding. Led by a woman with silver hair and Elena's amber eyes. Sorry we're late, she said, knocking another arrow. Traffic was hell. Also, nobody told us the true Luna had finally awakened. We would have come sooner. Who? I started. Sarah. Elena's sister. Lila, Finn, and Cole's aunt. She smiled, fierce and familiar. And the person who's been keeping these pups safe for the past 20 years until they could find their way home. She released the arrow. It took Serafina through the heart. The battle turned in moments. Elena's pack, trained, prepared, furious, tore through the rogues like they were made of paper. Within minutes, it was over. Serafina lay dead on ancient stone, her schemes finally ended. And I lay beside my mate, both of us alive against all odds, while our nephew held us both and whispered, "You did it, Mama Mira. You saved him." "We saved him," I corrected. "We saved each other." Demon pulled me closer, his strength already returning. "Never do that again." "Which part? The healing or the almost dying?" "Either." "Both." "All of it." He kissed my forehead. "I can't lose you." "You won't," I promised. "We're mates. We die together or not at all. And I don't plan on dying anytime soon." "Good. Because we have a kingdom to fix. And a family to raise. And a lifetime ahead of us." I smiled against his chest, feeling the mate bond settle. Strong and permanent and absolutely unbreakable. We'd survived. And now, finally, we could begin to truly live. Chapter 8. The pain was unbearable. Silver poisoning coursed through my veins like liquid fire, every heartbeat pushing it deeper into my system. My Luna power had healed Demon, yes, but I'd done something else in that desperate moment. Something instinctive and impossible. I'd transferred his wound to myself. "What did you do?" Demon's voice came from far away, distant through the haze of agony. "Mira, what the hell did you do?" "Bought you time," I gasped. The black veins were spreading across my chest now, visible through my torn shirt. "You're the king. Kingdom needs you. Children need you. I need you." He cradled me against him, and I could feel his panic through the mate bond. "Don't you dare die on me. Not after everything. Not after." "Mama Mira." Finn's scream cut through the chaos. All three children appeared, having broken free from the guards trying to protect them. They threw themselves at us, small hands touching my face, my arms, anywhere they could reach. "You're not leaving," Lila said fiercely, tears streaming down her face. "You promised you wouldn't leave. You said you'd always protect us," Cole added, his voice breaking. "But who protects you?" "We do," Finn said suddenly. His voice had changed, deeper, resonant with something ancient. "We protect our Luna." I felt it then, power rising from the children. Not the innocent energy of young wolves, but something older. Stronger. Royal. "No," I tried to say. "Don't, you're too young." But they were already channeling it. 3 sets of amber eyes glowed white gold, matching my own Luna power. Their small hands pressed against my wound, and I felt their combined strength pouring into me. Not healing, exactly. Something else. Amplification. They were taking my Luna power and multiplying it, channeling it back through me with the force of their combined royal bloodline. The triplet heirs, Sarah breathed from somewhere nearby. By the first wolf, they're activating their ancestral magic. The power built and built, pressure mounting until I thought I'd explode from it. White gold light erupted from all 4 of us, me and the 3 children, forming a pillar that shot into the night sky. The silver poisoning burned away. The wound closed. The black veins receded. But more than that, something completed. I felt the mate bond with demons suddenly solidify, going from a connection to an absolute certainty. Permanent. Unbreakable. Sealed by magic and blood and Luna power channeled through royal airs. Heat seared across my left shoulder blade, a mark appearing, burning itself into my skin. Through the mate bond, I felt demon experience the same on his right shoulder. Mated marks. True mate marks. The power explosion rippled outward in a wave. It hit Serafina where she lay wounded, and I saw her eyes widen in horror before the Luna power consumed her. Not burning. Not violent. Just, unmaking. Erasing her from existence like she'd never been there at all. The rogues who'd survived the initial battle scattered, fleeing into the night with howls of terror. And then the power collapsed inward, and I collapsed with it. The last thing I felt was Demon catching me, the children piling on top of us both, and the mate bond humming with absolute certainty. Alive. Whole. Together. I woke to sunlight. Soft morning light streaming through windows I didn't recognize, warming sheets that smelled like home. My body felt strange. Not bad strange. Just different. Lighter. Stronger. Complete. You're awake. Demon's voice came from beside the bed. He looked terrible. Unshaven, exhausted, his shirt stained with blood, mine, probably. But his eyes were clear and gold and absolutely focused on me. Finally. You've been unconscious for 2 days. 2 days. You used enough power to kill most wolves. Dr. Chen said your body needed time to adjust to having the mate bond fully sealed. He reached out, fingers ghosting over my left shoulder blade. You have a mark. So do you. I could see it even with his shirt on. Silver lines visible at his collar, swirling patterns that matched the ones I could feel on my own skin. True mate marks, he confirmed. Permanent. Magical. Proof that what we have is real and absolute. His hand cupped my face. You transferred my wound to yourself. You were willing to die to save me. You would have done the same. That's not the point. The point is you scared me more in that moment than I've been scared in my entire life. His thumb traced my cheekbone. Don't ever do that again. Can't promise that. Luna instinct. We protect our mates and our pack above everything. Even yourself. Especially myself. I caught his hand, pressing it against my cheek. Where are the children? Right here, a small voice said. I looked to find all 3 pups, children, I corrected myself, curled up on the other side of the massive bed. They must have been there the whole time, sleeping while I slept. Protective even in rest. We stayed with you, Lila explained, crawling over to hug me. Uncle Demon said we should let you rest in peace, but we said no. You needed your pack close. We could feel you healing through the bond, Finn added, adjusting his glasses. Our power connected to yours. We could sense you getting stronger. You saved us again, Mama Mira, Cole said quietly. You and our power together. We're a real pack now. I pulled all 3 children against me, holding them close. We were always a real pack. From the moment you chose me in that tent. Actually, Sarah's voice came from the doorway, from before that. Mind if I come in? We have things to discuss. Demon nodded, and Elena's sister entered. She looked so much like the woman from the children's memories, same amber eyes, same fierce expression. But older, weathered by years of hiding and protecting. You're the one who saved them, I said. 20 years ago. Elena saved them, Sarah corrected. I just continued her work. When the attack happened, Elena managed to get the pups into a hidden passage. The fire and chaos covered their escape. She died holding off the rogues so I could run with her children. But they were wolves, Demon said. They should have been able to shift back. To communicate. They tried. Goddess knows they tried. Sarah sat in a chair by the bed. But the trauma, seeing their mother die, their father already dead, the fire and screaming and blood. It broke something in them. They shifted to wolf form and couldn't shift back. So I kept them safe the only way I knew how. I used wolfsbane and silver root to prevent forced shifting. Kept them hidden, kept them fed, kept them alive. For 20 years, I breathed. For 20 years. Waiting for the right moment. The right person. She looked at me. Elena told me something before she died. She said if anything happened to her, I should watch for a true Luna. That the children would need one to truly heal. But true Lunas are extinct, Demon said. We thought they were. Turns out they're just dormant, waiting for the right circumstances to awaken. Sarah smiled. Elena had visions sometimes. Lunaborn wolves often do. She told me a broken Omega would find the children. That the Omega wouldn't know what she was, but her power would awaken when the children needed it most. She knew, I whispered. Elena knew I'd come. She knew someone would come. Someone strong enough to love her children without reservation. Someone who'd protect them with everything she had. Sarah's eyes were wet. Thank you. For being what they needed. What they've always needed. I didn't do anything special. I just. You loved them, Cole interrupted. That's special. The most special, Finn agreed. Lila nodded solemnly. Mama Mira loves us more than anyone except maybe Uncle Demon, and he loves us because we're family, but you love us because you chose us, and that's different and better, Anne. Breathe, sweetheart, Demon said, but he was smiling. Actually smiling, warm and genuine, and everything the Winter King wasn't supposed to be. We should discuss the kingdom, Sarah said. Now that you're awake and the mate bond is sealed, the council will want to move forward with official ceremonies. Luna coronation. Formal recognition of the children as royal heirs. Territory redistribution for packs that harbored traitors. Derek, I said, remembering. And Crescent Valley. Already handled, Demon said, and something dark flickered in his eyes. They hid a true Luna. Tried to suppress your power through rejection and isolation. Allowed you to be treated as defective when you were anything but. That's a crime against the kingdom itself. What happened to them? Crescent Valley territory has been seized. Marcus has been removed as Alpha. The pack is being absorbed into royal territory under new leadership. He paused. Derek specifically has been exiled. He and Claire are no longer welcome in any pack territory under my rule. Which is basically everywhere, Cade's voice came from the hallway. He appeared in the doorway, grinning. The other Alpha Kings heard what happened, true Luna awakening, traitor defeated, lost heirs returned. And they're all falling over themselves to pledge support. You two are kind of famous now. Great, I muttered. Just what I wanted. Fame. You'll get used to it, Sarah said. Luna queens always do. Speaking of which, the coronation is scheduled for 3 days from now. Unless you need more recovery time. 3 days is fine. I looked at Demon. But I want the children involved. Officially. They're not just your niece and nephews anymore. They're ours. And I want everyone to know it. Something softened in Demon's expression. You want to formally adopt them. If they'll have me. 3 children tackled me simultaneously, nearly knocking me off the bed. Yes. Lila shouted. Yes, yes, yes. Does that mean you're our real mama now? Cole asked. Not just Mama Mira but actual legal mama? If that's what you want, I said. It's what we want, Finn said firmly. We've wanted it since the first night. We just didn't know how to ask. Then it's done. Demon's voice carried alpha authority. Lila, Finn, and Cole Silvercrest will be formally adopted as children of the Luna Queen during the coronation ceremony. They'll have full rights as royal heirs and full claim to the throne. There will be 4 heirs, actually, Dr. Chen's voice came from the doorway. Everyone turned to stare at him. He smiled apologetically. Sorry to interrupt, but I've been monitoring the Luna's recovery and, well, there's something you should know. What? I asked, sudden fear gripping me. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Quite the opposite. He approached the bed with his tablet. The true Luna bond didn't just seal your mate connection. It also awakened something else. Something that's been dormant in you just like your Luna power was. I don't understand. Your fertility, Miss Cole. Mira. He turned the tablet to show me readings I didn't fully comprehend. You're pregnant. About 4 weeks along, which means conception happened right after your Luna power first manifested. The room went absolutely silent. I stared at Dr. Chen, trying to process the words. Pregnant. I was pregnant. But I was defective, I heard myself say. Derek said I could never. Derek was wrong about everything concerning you, Demon said roughly. He'd gone very still beside me. Are you certain, Chen? Completely. The Luna bond triggered a full biological awakening. She can conceive now. And she has. He smiled. Congratulations. Both of you. I looked at Demon and saw shock warring with joy on his face. We're having a baby. We're having a baby, he repeated, like he couldn't quite believe it. I'm going to be a big sister. Lila announced, breaking the tension. And Finn and Cole are going to be big brothers. We'll teach the baby everything, Finn said seriously. Like how to shift and how to read and how to avoid Lila when she's in one of her moods. I don't have moods. You have so many moods, Cole said. They dissolved into bickering, familiar and warm and perfect. Sarah and Kate excused themselves to give us privacy. Dr. Chen left with promises to return for a full examination later. And then it was just us. Our pack. Our family. Are you okay? Demon asked quietly. This is a lot. Especially after everything else. I'm terrified, I admitted. I don't know how to be a Luna queen. Don't know how to raise royal children. Don't know how to be pregnant or give birth or any of it. But, I placed my hand over my still flat stomach, feeling something flutter beneath my palm. Recognition. Connection. But I want this. All of it. You, the children, the baby, the kingdom. Everything. You're sure? Are you? He kissed me, soft and deep and absolutely certain. I spent 20 years isolating myself. Building walls. Refusing to love anyone because love made you vulnerable. Made you weak. Made you a target. His forehead pressed against mine. But I was wrong. Love doesn't make you weak. It makes you strong enough to face anything. Strong enough to heal. Strong enough to live instead of just survive. Demon. You're my mate, he continued. My Luna. My family. And I'm never letting you go. Not for duty. Not for the kingdom. Not for anything. You're mine, and I'm yours, and that's all that matters. That's very romantic for the Winter King. The Winter King is dead, he said. Melted by a broken Omega who turned out to be a true Luna Queen. Now there's just me. Demon. Your mate. Father to 3 adopted children and 1 on the way. And I'm absolutely terrified I'm going to mess this all up. Then we'll mess it up together, I said. And fix it together. And build something beautiful together. He kissed me again, and the children piled on, and we lay there in a tangle of limbs and love and absolute certainty that this was what we'd been fighting for all along. Not power. Not crowns. Not kingdoms. Family. The coronation was everything I'd feared and more. Thousands of wolves gathered in the ceremonial grounds behind the palace. Alphas from every territory. Nobles in their finest clothes. Common pack members who'd come to witness history. All of them staring as I walked down an aisle lined with white roses, wearing a dress that probably cost more than Crescent Valley's annual budget. But I wasn't alone. Lila walked on my right, wearing a smaller crown that marked her as princess. Finn walked on my left, standing tall despite his nervousness. Cole followed behind, carrying the Luna crown on a velvet pillow with absolute concentration. Our pack. Our family. Demon waited at the altar, wearing formal robes that somehow made him look even more intimidating. But when our eyes met, he smiled, small and private and just for me. The ceremony was long. Traditional. Full of ancient words and symbolic gestures. But the important parts were simple. Do you, Mira Cole, accept the responsibility of Luna Queen? Do you pledge to protect this kingdom and its wolves with your power, your wisdom, and your heart? I do. Do you accept these children? Lila, Finn, and Cole Silvercrest, as your own? Do you pledge to raise them, guide them, and love them as a mother should? I looked at the 3 children standing beside me and felt my throat tighten. I do. With everything I am. Then by the power vested in me by the first laws and the old magic, I crown you Luna Queen of the Royal Pack. Cole stepped forward with the crown. It was beautiful, silver and moonstone, carved with ancient symbols. Demon took it from the pillow and placed it on my head with hands that shook slightly. My Luna, he said softly. My mate. My queen. My king, I replied. My mate. My love. The crowd erupted in cheers. But I barely heard them. Because as the crown settled on my head, I felt it, that flutter in my belly again. Stronger this time. More certain. Life. Growing inside me. The future of this bloodline that had almost been destroyed. Demon felt it too, through the mate bond. His eyes widened, and he placed his hand over mine on my stomach. Our child, he whispered. Our family, I corrected. Because it wasn't just the baby. It was all of us, me and Demon, Lila and Finn and Cole, the child growing inside me, and whatever future children would come. A family built from broken pieces, sealed with Luna magic and true mate bonds and the kind of love that survives fire and death and impossible odds. We turned to face the kingdom together, and they cheered again. For their Alpha King and Luna Queen. For the lost heirs who'd been found. For the new beginning that came from old tragedies finally healed. It should have been perfect. It should have been the ending we'd fought so hard to reach. But as I stood there with my crown and my family, I felt something else through my Luna senses. Danger. Distant but approaching. Dark magic stirring in places it shouldn't be. Someone was watching. Someone was planning. And they had their eyes on the new Luna Queen and her growing family. Epilogue. The forbidden ruins were empty now. Cleaned up after the battle, the blood washed away, the dead removed. Nothing remained of the fight except scorch marks on ancient stone and the memory of what had been lost and won there. Nothing except a small piece of fabric. Charred and burned, but not destroyed. A corner of Seraphina's cloak, missed by the cleanup crews. It lay in the shadow of a fallen pillar, glowing faintly with dark magic that pulsed in time with the phases of the moon. A figure emerged from the shadows. Tall. Hooded. Moving with the confidence of someone who belonged here, who'd been here many times before. They crouched beside the fabric, gloved hands lifting it carefully. So it's true, they murmured. The true Luna has awakened. The bloodline is restored. Seraphina failed. Another figure appeared behind them. Smaller. Younger. What do we do now? The king has his mate. The heirs are protected. Our window is closing. No. The first figure stood, tucking the fabric into a pocket. Our window is just opening. The Luna is pregnant. Vulnerable. Focused on her growing family instead of threats she can't see coming. You want to attack a true Luna? They say her power killed Seraphina with barely a thought. Seraphina was a fool. Driven by jealousy and rage instead of strategy. The hooded figure turned, and moonlight caught eyes that glowed red instead of gold. We won't attack directly. We'll be patient. Careful. We'll wait until the child is born, until she's at her weakest, until the king's attention is split between too many precious things to protect. And then? And then we take everything. The throne. The power. The bloodline. A smile in the darkness. The true Luna awakened to save the kingdom. But her power will be what destroys it. How? The figure held up Seraphina's burned fabric, and it pulsed with dark magic. Every power has a price. Every gift has a cost. The Luna doesn't know it yet, but using ancestral magic through the children created a connection. A vulnerability. And we're going to exploit it. The children will be our way in. Our leverage. Our weapon. The figure pocketed the fabric again. Seraphina wanted revenge. We want something far more valuable. We want everything the Silvercrest line has ever held. When do we start? We already have. The figure began to fade back into shadow. The Luna Queen has months before the child arrives. Months to feel safe. To lower her guard. To believe the threat is over. And then we remind her that darkness doesn't die. It just waits for the right moment to strike. They vanished into the night, leaving the forbidden ruins empty again. But not silent. In the shadows, dark magic hummed and pulsed and waited. The true Luna had awakened. The bloodline was restored. The kingdom was healing. But somewhere in the darkness, something ancient and hungry was stirring. And it had its eyes on a growing family that had fought so hard to be whole. The battle was over. But the war was just beginning. The end. Thank you for listening to this story. Like, share and subscribe for more.